Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back to the second portion of Sabbath day services at the house of Yehuda. Okay, our second speaker for the day is my husband that I lovingly refer to as Big Pump. But you all know him as teacher, moray, minister, Yemuel Israel. So if he would now come to the podium, he will give us a lesson in what thus says Yah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. It's just going to keep coming back. It's just going to keep coming back.
All right, y'all go ahead and be seated, please. Another beautiful Shabbat day, right?
Yes, it is.
Y'all know why it's so beautiful? You already know. Because you're in it. I'm in it. It could be a day that we didn't see. But the Almighty just keeps on blessing us. So by him doing that, ask yourself, those that are listening by way of internet and those that are here, who have a mind to consider, ask, how are you going to show your appreciation? How have you been showing your appreciation? Every time that we close our eyes and he's blessed us to see another day or open up our eyes after a nap or after a night's rest. Every time we leave our home and he blesses us to return to it. Every time we leave our loved ones and he allow us to see them again. And I can go on and on and on. Because I know as a people, sometimes we just don't know how to count our blessings. I understand that my cup just overruns every day. Every day. Even with those blessings that I don't even acknowledge. Wow. How many of us in here done said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that tomorrow? How many of us didn't change and say, yeah, willing tomorrow, I'll do this or I'll do that? See, it's about the way we think. So we have to make changes in our life to where we know we keeping Yah first and not just lean into our own understanding. I might bring that up again a little bit later on, but we lean to our own understanding what we just take for granted that tomorrow's promised to us. And I'm going to do this tomorrow, and I'm going to do that tomorrow. Instead of acknowledging if it be Yah's will. So today, if I had to put a title on this lesson, and we don't, I'd call it baby steps. I was explaining to my wife, it ain't about just taking big leaps and bounds, trying to get to our destination. If we focus, we stay on track and we just what? Just walk it down. Just be consistent with our steps. Just walk it down. But before we get started here, I want to give any and everybody, even by way of the internet, an opportunity to give a testimony if they like. If you like. I don't care if you've already given one by way of the internet or here, because all glory goes to the Almighty Yah. Hallelujah. Yes. Hallelujah. Yes.
Oh, maybe from me. Hallelujah. Yahweh is awesome and his mercy is unnerving. It's just amazing. And I'm very, very glad that I can fix my lips to say that I know who Yahweh is. It's a blessing.
Hallelujah. Yes, sir.
Praise Yahweh first and foremost for blessing us all to see another day,
Hallelujah.
another Shabbat.
Mhm.
I just look at the news, and every day is just so many atrocities, going on all over the world, and I really take yeah for granted as far as safety that he's provided me and everything that he's brought me through just throughout my life, because it could be like really bad for a lot of us, especially in the times that we're in now, in the time that's coming up ahead. So, and then praise God for letting us know in His will. That's something else that I've taken for granted. There's a lot of people who don't have that blessing. So, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Let's ask ourselves, do we really know Yah? And do we really want to know him? I say, I really want to know. And I'm saying, I know Yah. That's why even earlier today, when I gave that testimony, it made my eyes glaze over because I understand certain things. I look at it as though, and I've said this a bunch of times and will continue to say it. When I bump my head, so to speak, or when I have to go through something, the first thing I have to do is examine myself and find out what is it that I'm doing or that I've done or not doing that I've brought this on myself. And I think that's one of the best things we can do. I'm a big believer in self-evaluation. So I have to evaluate myself, like I said, when I go through some things, that way I have an opportunity to correct it. Because I do believe at that particular time when I'm going through something, that's the Almighty said, look, I'm trying to get your attention. Slow down, check yourself. And so whatever it is, if I acknowledge it and I correct it and try not to go that way again, I know that the Almighty is one of his words. It's we that always breaks our word. And collectively, we've broken our word with the Creator. We said that all that Yah said that we would do, regardless of whether the fact you or I was there at that particular time, we're still held to that. So we lied. What's our excuse for not keeping our word with the Almighty? How we feel if the Almighty broke his word with us? How would we feel if Yah said, well, they know what I said, but they just didn't understand what I meant. And we like to say the same thing. Well, Yah, he understands. Well, we say, he know my heart. And then again, I have to say this every time I use that word heart, I point to that mind here, because that's where we store everything. That's where our thoughts come from. This thing here in our chest, it pumps that blood. Some people may disagree with what I'm saying, but we make all our decisions with our mind. Say things like, and I use an example, I knew with all my heart that was the person for me. I knew with all my heart this and all that, and it didn't work out. If I break a law, did I do it? And I knew what I was doing here, especially if it was a presumptuous sin, meaning I know what I'm doing. Did I make that decision to do it here? Or did I consider it and think about it here first? That's the reason I think it's so important that we guard our spirit. Guard our spirit. And make sure that we have a right spirit. And to pray that the Almighty never take our spirit away from us. Imagine those that are trying to walk with Yah and being consistent with it. Imagine if that spirit was taken away? I wouldn't even want to imagine that. I wouldn't even want to imagine somebody trying to have a conversation with me and I just wasn't even making sense no more. When people walk away and say, he's gone. He done lost it. So we got to guard our spirit. And the best way to do that is by trying to walk with Yah humbly and trying to allow ourselves to become meek. He said that's what we're going to teach. He's going to teach the meek. I ain't going to teach somebody that's all haughty and arrogant. I'm sure he could if he wanted to, but would you want to have to go through what you got to go through, most likely to be humble? If y'all hammer down on us, because we're overly aggressive even in our thoughts, then those thoughts being those thoughts of wickedness. But let's go to Psalms 25. Start out. Then we're going to get into some things that I refer to as baby steps, especially anybody who's been in this walk, say for at least a year or two. Because if we haven't tried to make adjustments to be more righteous in our walk within a year or two, then what are we doing? What are we doing? We can go get some good instruction to learn how to play the piano or play a particular sport. And then we practice it and practice it. If we have that perfect practice, most likely we get better, don't we? So we got a lifetime of practice to get better with Yah and being right in his eyes. Again, Psalms 25. I don't have a cold, y'all. I think somebody tell me I got something to somebody with allergies, and I said they come with a cough too. But there's something going on in the back of my throat, and I guess it depends on the environment that I'm in or something, not only here. But man, I never thought that I might have allergy, but I guess I might have to get that checked out. Because I want to know what's going on. Starting very first verse in Psalms 25, it reads, "Unto thee, O Yah, do I lift up my soul. O my Elohim, I trust in thee. Let me not be ashamed. Let not mine enemies triumph over me. Yea, let none that wait on thee be ashamed. Let them be ashamed which transgress without cause. Show me thy ways, O Yah. Teach me thy paths. Lead me in thy truth and teach me, for thou art the Elohim of my salvation. On thee do I wait all the day." Let's stop there for a second. And I know this is a Psalm of David. But do we want to? We have good instruction from the Almighty. We have good instruction. And then we also have some good, solid wisdom from Solomon that will show us how we can best keep the laws. Do we honestly want to do what's right? Because if we do, the only thing that would be stopping us is what? Ourselves. Ourselves. I believe in self-accountability. Do you believe in self-accountability? Those that say they walking with Yah, those who claim their own righteousness, do you believe in self-accountability? Because the bottom line is Yah is going to hold us accountable. Right? We're going to go the way of our fathers because of our own transgressions. Are we a people that just create lies and we believe our own lies? In other words, we make excuses for our actions, even when we know they're not right. We have excuses like, well, I was mad. Well, I wasn't thinking right. You know, all the different excuses that we can come up with. The fact of the matter is they're just still what? Excuses. And the only way we're going to get ahead is by being accountable and making change for the better. Trying to build up a good relationship with the giver of life, our personal savior, our redeemer, our Elohim, our king, our husband. But we got to really, really want it. Y'all remember the first time you thought you fell in love with, for the little girl that fell in love with a little boy, for the boy that fell in love with a girl, and you just couldn't quit thinking about it. Y'all remember that? Do we get that kind of thought to the Almighty? He said, I'm married to you. He said, you're the apple of my eye, my battle axe, my world without end. We mean a lot to the Almighty. But how much does he mean to us? I think we fear the police more than we fear the Almighty. The Almighty, he know we doing all the time. But let us get wrong and we out there speeding and them lights come on behind us or something. Can you imagine that heart flutter? Like, oh, it'd be a trembling, don't it? If we honest with ourselves. Even if we know we're just getting pulled over, you see one approaching you. So that means to me that we consider this man more so than the giver of life, than the one that allows us to breathe, the one that allows us to get those blessings over and over and over again. I'm going to tell you, if you've ever been through anything, and you understand that it is still the Almighty sustaining us, regardless of how bad we still might be, it should just make your eyes water. Then you might want to ask yourself, why me? Simple answer. Because he loves us. He loves us more than some of us know how to love ourselves. And it's so crazy because we are people that pass that word around like it ain't nothing. I love you. I love, 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 love. But do we really know how to show love even for self? Because if we loved ourselves, see, we got to know how to love ourselves before you even can think about loving somebody else other than the Almighty. We should love him because he's the one who allows us just to be. While we so busy trying to find ourselves. Ain't that what we say sometimes? I'm trying to find myself. I'm working on myself. Well, what are we doing to make it a benefit? What are we doing actually to find ourselves, find what our purpose? Our purpose is to fear Yah and keep his commandments. Our purpose is to be a servant of Yah. And anything other than that, that's extra. If he gave you a good voice or good ball handling skills or what, that's extra. If he made you to run fast, that's extra. See, we just got to learn how to keep things in a proper perspective, right? That's what we got to do. Let's get back to this here. I'm going to start again at verse 5. I know that was the last verse I read. Again, it reads, lead me in thy truth and teach me. For you are the Elohim of my salvation. On thee do I wait all the day. Remember, O Yah, thy tender mercies and thy loving kindness. For they have been ever of old. Meaning our forefathers had the ability to get Yah's tender mercies and his loving kindness. And we got the same blood running through our veins. We have the same rebellion running through our veins. What is it with us? They say we're like those Sardis children that's drunk, but not with wine, just stumbling around. Even when we told, don't lean to your own understanding. But we want to dispute what thus says Yah. I can't mean that. Can't mean that. I believe that the Almighty Yah is just. Now let me give you a good example. And tell me if y'all think differently. Y'all say if a man who been living wickedly, if he put those wicked ways away, and he start doing that which is lawful and right, he don't go back that way no more. He doing that which is lawful and right. He said all that wicked stuff won't be remembered. But he also said if a person has been doing, you can be doing righteousness for 50 years. And then maybe get envious at the wicked and start doing that which is wicked. And say if a person perish in their righteousness or perish in their wickedness. If I pass in my righteousness, that wickedness is behind me. I think that's just. Now, if I was righteous and I passed in my wickedness, say because I got the envious of the foolish, then I got what I deserved, didn't I? How much fairer can you be? And we're not even supposed to do no unrighteous judgment. So why we want the Almighty to do that? He said, well, he was really horrible, but what the heck? Let him on through. How many of us would do that? Especially if somebody we didn't like. If we was in charge. Like, this person was horrible. I'm gonna let him in it. Let me hear y'all say, Yah is righteous.
Yeah, righteous.
Boy, oh boy, we need to get that. We really, really need to get it. We need to understand. Can't be no double standards. Can't be no double standards at all. Again, in verse 6, remember, O Yah, thy tender mercies. That's why we stand here today, and thy loving kindness, for they have been ever of old. Remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions according to thy mercies. Remember thou me for thy goodness' sake, O Yah. Good and upright is Yah. Therefore will he teach sinners in the way. That means we can still be taught. All we got to do is pay attention and most of all, want to change. We got to want to learn to do good. Y'all say it with me. Learn to do good. Sometimes we might have to say something in order to really learn to do good because we always just come out the womb knowing what's right to do. But if we're taught, then we can learn to do good, right? And habits are hard to break. Y'all know, I believe in the study that if a person do something consistently, say for 90 days, then it generally becomes a habit. If you go through it uninterrupted for a period of about 90 days, it becomes a habit. And I share with people, we need to try and start developing good habits that's going to allow the Almighty to make us shine. To where we're going to get favor from the Almighty. You know why habits are good when they're good habits? Because they're hard to break. Sometimes when you have a good habit, you don't want to mess yourself up because you want to keep your record going because you like it. Now, some of us, we just have bad habits, though, don't we? And when we have bad habits, the best thing to do is just to admit it and try to get rid of those bad habits. Meaning, like I said, if you do something consistently for a period of at least 90 days, it becomes a habit. So that means our bad habits, we've been what? We've been accustomed to doing that for a long time. What's wrong with being accustomed to doing something that's good? Reinventing ourselves, so to speak, the right way. We got the prescription. We got it. Most of us have the ability to read. Most of us have reading comprehension, meaning we understand what we're reading. Most of us will say, well, yeah, I trust in Yah. I believe this, I believe that. And if we believe that Yah is one of his word, then what's our problem? Because we all falling short. We all falling short. Unless we think y'all gonna grade us on like they do in school. Get a higher grade by default. What say? One of a family, two of a city. Did I get that right? One of a family, two of a city. Them don't seem like big numbers when you go around the world, do it? Yah Almighty said to Israel, you only, you exclusively have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I'm going to punish you. But we so busy concerned about what the next person doing. So we get our hands dirty. We want to point the finger at somebody else. But what about us? I can't go for somebody else's transgressions. I'm going for my own. Meaning I have free will. The Almighty didn't make us robots, right? He gave us free will. And we were instructed, go ahead and learn to do good. Hate evil. How do we show y'all that we love him? Keeping his commandments. And we are supposed to be a holy people, meaning set apart, but we're supposed to be set apart for a reason. Obviously, we don't want to accept the reason. So we want to be like everybody else. It looks like they're having fun over there, but they're running towards the pit. We want to get in the race and run and see if we can't beat them there. Not understanding what that end result is going to be. Good and upright is Yah, therefore will he teach sinners in the way. Listen, y'all. The meek, this applies to you and me. The meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way. I suggest that we all need to work more on becoming meek, more submissive to Yah. See, a lot of times people look at that word meek and they take it out of context. That's just like some of these people today in this modern society, they look at a woman dealing with her husband talking about, I wouldn't be submissive to no man. I'm a strong, independent Black woman. Independent meaning I don't need nobody. I'm strong. No strong, independent Black woman, and this is not to offend anybody because Yah comes first. They might mess around and die alone. Without a man, without a husband. Because that feminine energy turns to masculine energy. Think about what I'm saying. Like I say, I ain't trying to get no controversy started. I just want us to learn how to think. That wasn't for you, Israel. That wasn't for you. It wasn't for us. But unfortunately, because in a lot of cases, we put the daggone cart before the horse. We did things backwards. Things didn't work out. Then we had situations where, okay, now I got to do the best that I can, or I'm leaning on my own understanding, so to speak, and I just got to do things this way. Let's go ahead and finish reading here. See, I just got to go where the Almighty take me. The meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way. All the paths of Yah are mercy. Praise the Almighty for his mercy. Praise him for his mercy. And truth. Unto such as keep his covenant and his testimony. For thy name's sake, O Yah, pardon mine iniquity. For it is great. How many of us asked the Almighty to pardon my iniquities, pardon my sins? How many of us confess our transgressions to the Almighty? It's part of that remedy, isn't it? If we want that slate to be washed clean, sometimes we don't even want to acknowledge it. We just say, well, it is what it is. We make excuses for ourselves. But see, we got to understand, especially when we have people around us that we consider to be friends or family or our children, they're learning from us. Action speaks louder than words. People, again, I have to keep saying this over and over, We do what we see done, and we say what we hear said. And the best teachers are always going to be example. We have to ask ourselves, what kind of example am I showing my loved ones? Am I showing them what's right? Because understanding that they may mimic you, they may mimic me. If I go out, if I was a thief, and I went out and I started stealing something, but I had one of my loved ones with me. I didn't tell them I was going to steal something, but say I go out and I steal something. And they see me do it. They're going to think, well, if it's good enough for Abba, yeah, it's good enough for me. So say they go out and they steal something. Let's say they get caught. Say something bad may happen. I don't wish nothing bad on them, but say something bad happens. Say they end up costing a lot of money, court time or whatever. And then when you discuss it with your child, where did you get that from? Then they say, well, I got it from you, Emma. I got it from you, Abba. What are you talking about? Well, I saw you. I learned that from you. So our behaviors, it ain't just got to be stealing. It can be our unrighteousness. It can be our temperament. It can be a lot of things it can be our pride. It can be a lot of those things that the Almighty don't like that we're teaching our youth, and we're causing them to have their own demise. Instead of teaching them what thou said, shall continue. And I'm not, I know sometimes my octave goes up and down. I'm sure those that are listening, I'm not angry at all. I'm one that's passionate about particular things that I believe, that I know and understand. And I just get caught up in it because that's the life that I'm trying to live. And anybody who know me know that particular things I'm just passionate about. Certain things I just keep talking about. I know I might get on somebody's nerve because the Almighty got to be glorified. Who gonna stand for it? Who gonna stand for the Almighty? You get these Christians and other people always talking about their so-called deity, but they ain't really got a clue. But Israel, we better have more than a clue. Because again, you exclusively have I known all the families of the earth. Therefore, I'm going to punish you for your iniquities. So we can't say, well, what about them? No, what about you? What about me? If the Almighty said, haven't I been extremely kind to you? Haven't I been extremely merciful to you? And this is how you repay me? By continuous rebellion? Continuous rebellion. He said, I'm married to you. How many husbands would want to have a treacherous wife? We that wife. So I say that to those mortal husbands like myself who always want to complain about a wife being treacherous and not doing this, that, and the other. Again, the best teacher is example. What are we showing? What are we showing? In order for a person to humble themselves, in order for a wife to humble herself and allow that husband to rule or govern over her, she has to feel good about what he's showing. You hear what I said? In order for, we don't have to remind nobody. Husband don't have to remind nobody. I'm the husband. You the wife. I'm the man. You the woman. No, that ain't what we need to do. I personally feel that especially since we've become so westernized, that a woman have to feel like she can trust that you're going to handle things accordingly for her to allow herself to allow you or me to rule or govern over her. I mean, it is what it is, right? But the Almighty don't want no excuses. Either way, he don't want no excuses. For thy name, this verse 11, for thy name's sake, O Yah, pardon mine iniquity, for it is great. What man is he that feareth Yah? Him shall he teach in the way that he shall choose. His soul shall dwell at ease, and his seed shall inherit the earth. Okay, check this out, y'all. In verse 14, it reads, the secret of Yah is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. The secret is with those who really fear Yah. I'm talking about those that fear Yah, that's keeping his commandments. If I'm continually making the same, I can't even call it an error. If I'm continually doing the same transgression, and I know it's wrong, I mean, it would be different if I did this one time. I learned that, hey, man, this ain't right. I turned from it because I've acknowledged it. I've confessed it. I've turned from it and don't do that no more. Now move on, right? But we commit the same transgressions over and over, and then we make excuses. We don't acknowledge them. We don't confess them. I said before and I said again. How many of y'all ever seen a program called Hoarders or something? I know what I'm talking about. And you look like, oh man, that's filthy. How can they live? Oh, they walking over stuff to try to get around. Just because we can't see our transgressions, but we know they're there. Aren't we also hoarders? Some of us have to bulldoze our way through there trying to get through it because they pile so daggone high because we're doing the same things over and over again. But we don't look at it that way. See, I'm trying to give us a way to look at it so we can really examine ourselves. Because I would like to think will provoke change. Especially when we see ourselves and say, oh my goodness, I'm that abominable? I'm that abominable in the sight of the Almighty Yah? Then that's when those eyes should really swell up, because then we understand, man, he's really been showing me a lot of mercy. He's been better to me than I'd have been to myself. But we are hardened people. We are hardened people. We act like we don't care. Y'all don't realize that a lot of people that we're around either is going to have an influence on us or we're going to have an influence on somebody else. Think about what I'm saying. Either we're going to be influenced by somebody else or we're going to influence somebody else. What's your influence going to be? What's your contribution? What's my contribution to righteousness? It's easy to say I'm humble before we go off on somebody, right? Is that what being humble is? It's easy to say we being humble after we cuss somebody else out, but aren't there plenty of other words that we can use, even in the softer tone, to get our point across even more aggressively, without making ourselves appear to be the fool? Again, in verse 14, the secret of Yah is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. He will show them his covenant. Mine eyes are ever toward Yah, for he shall pluck my feet out of the net. Turn thee unto me, and have mercy upon me, for I am desolate and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are enlarged. Oh, bring thou me out of my distress. Look upon mine affliction and my pain, and forgive all my sins. Consider mine enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with cruel hatred. How many of us then hated somebody even with a cruel hatred, because maybe we thought something about them or whatever. We just didn't like them. And then you might say, well, why don't you like this person? I don't know. It's just something about them. What if the Almighty just said, I don't like this person? It's just something about them. Can't quite get my finger on. See, the Almighty knows that. We don't know other people like the Almighty. Yeah, know other people. But we make judgments. And we don't always make good judgments in righteousness. Again, in verse 19, consider mine enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with cruel hatred. Oh, keep my soul and deliver me. Let me not be ashamed, for I put my trust in thee. Let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait on thee. Redeem Israel, O Elohim, out of all this trouble. But I got to go back to that verse 21. It reads again, let integrity and uprightness preserve me. How many of us can say that? How many of us can say it? Y'all know what integrity is, right? Everybody, well, not everybody, but some people would understand that integrity is just merely doing the right thing, even when ain't nobody else looking. But keep in mind, the Almighty Yah is always looking. How many of us still need to keep working on our integrity? How many of us still need to keep working on being meek? How many of us still need to keep working on being humble? How many of us still need to keep working on getting rid of all that pride? Some of us might say, I only got a little bit left, but isn't a little bit too much? Even if we wanted to say we only got a little bit left. Because we know at times when a person was brought up to have pride anyway, that pride can rear its ugly little head at any given time. Especially when we want things our way. Again in verse 22, redeem Israel, O Yah, out of all its troubles. It's a beautiful thing when you know there's somebody that you can always count on to pull you out of all your troubles. But we have to ask ourselves, why do I deserve it? Other than the Almighty's mercy, and I'm sure that's what most of us will say. Can we honestly say that I deserve for Yah to redeem me out of all my troubles? Because a lot of those troubles we bring on ourselves, don't we? Relationship issues or whatever. A lot of times we bring them on ourselves. We don't know how to be humble. We don't know how to control that mouth. We just the people that, I guess we act like we was that Burger King that always want to have it our way. And it don't work that way. Don't work that way at all. Now, because I read, what was that verse? Was that verse 13, I believe it was? No, verse 14. In verse 14 of the Psalm 25, it read, the secret of Yah is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. Go to the book of Deuteronomy. We're going to go from there. When you get to Deuteronomy, go to the 4th chapter. And look at that 13th verse. So we're going to see what he was talking about right here in that 14th verse of that Psalms 25. So that's going to take me to find out what that covenant is. We're going to go again to Deuteronomy the 4th chapter, the 13th verse. And it reads, and he declared unto you his covenant which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. Now, that being said, let's go back to the book of Exodus, the 20th chapter. See, now y'all see why I somewhat titled this Baby Steps. Because all we got to do is just take those little steps, stay on course, and take us right to where we need to be. So right now, again, Exodus 20. I'm just going to take just a little time, and we're going to go over some of these things that this big, but it's like, again, taking those baby steps. We ain't got to take no big leaps. We just need to cover things and then understand those things that we cover and understand just how important they are, not only for ourselves, but for us to instill those very things in our youth. And trust and believe. I believe if these things had been instilled in our youth by the masses, the way it is today, it wouldn't necessarily be like it is today in our communities. Because we would understand, we would be more of a righteous people. We would be that set apart people. Again, set apart for a person, we would be that holy people. But we're like a people that always want to blend in and be like other people. We have to learn how to love ourselves. We're too busy trying to love everybody else and don't yet know how to love ourselves. In Exodus 20th chapter, starting at the very first verse, it reads, and Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yah, your Elohim, your power, your strength, which I brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You individualize this to yourselves. You shall have no other Elohims, no other gods, as your book might read, no other power before me. Y'all said, don't put nobody in my place. Don't even try it. Don't attempt it. Matter of fact, he went so far as later on, you'll read where he said, be circumspect. In other words, be very careful not to even let the name of other deities be heard coming up out of your mouth. Or don't let them be heard coming up out of my mouth. And my wife, she teaches on deities. And a lot of the different deities that she teaches on, we end up uttering up out of our mouth because we didn't know any better. There's so many of them out there. Just about some of everything is named after these deities. It's almost like a tribe. So I think this man knew what they were doing when they go to naming some of these cars and the planets and the days of the week and everything else around us. Some of these designer clothes and things named after deities. So we are people, and y'all know we love to dress, don't we? Mm-hmm. We love to dress. We love to be stylish. And we just buy the names of all these different deities, and we say, this is my so-and-so, and this is my... It's okay to have those things, but you ain't got to call on the name. It's just clothes. You know, they might be more expensive clothing, but a lot of them need to learn how to be basic first. You know? A lot of them need to learn how to be basic. Because we also are people that live beyond our means.
Hallelujah. Yes, sir.
We spend more money than we make.
Yes, sir.
We're going debt just to try to impress somebody. We got our youth right now because of Louis Vuitton belts and all these little expensive $400, $600 belts. They go here to the African stores and buy these little knockoffs and come to school. I just had a student just this past week, I believe it was. Mr. Israel, you know how much this belt costs? I looked at that thing. I said, not too much at the flea market. Well, we pay about $10. Nah, this is a $600 belt. Oh, I'm looking at everything else you got. We got to quit it. No, for real, we got to quit it. Because this is what we're doing to our youth. I always say the best teacher is example. And at one point in time, a lot of the fights and things that were going on in school, because these youth didn't know too much better, would be over these little $10 bills. They got people thinking, well, my mama bought me this. Well, look at your grades is in the dump and everything. We got to do better. Let me put that. We just got to do better. We got to do better. We got to quit trying to live beyond our means, trying to impress others. If we want to impress somebody, who should we be impressing?
Yahweh.
Say it again.
Yahweh.
We should be impressing our Creator and righteousness, not with no fakeness. You think y'all gonna be impressed? Because say we could go out and go buy a $600 real Louis Vuitton belt. Is that gonna impress the Almighty? So we're people that just love to try to impress somebody else, right? Being broke, a paycheck to paycheck type, being broke because we're trying to impress somebody else because we want to be lifted up by them. Did that really make sense? How foolish can we be? Again, in verse 3, you shall have no, and I keep saying we need to individualize this because we be concerned about other people. Let's start with self first. Because that's the best teacher's what? Example, right? So again, what example are we putting out? What are we teaching our youth? You shall have no other gods, no other strength, no other powers before me. Because all those other things are fake anyway. They're knockoffs. They ain't the real McCoy. They can't profit us nothing. You go over people's house and they got a crucifix on the wall where supposedly the Christ hanging up on there. What can it do? Can it magically get up off the wall itself and go someplace else? No, a person, if they want to move it, they got to move their God from here, put him over there, or prop him up over here, wherever. We got to learn how to think. That's the first command. And in the 4th verse, it also reads, you shall not make unto yourself any graven or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yah, your Elohim, am a what?
Jealous.
Yah said he's jealous. He said, you trying to provoke me to anger? Didn't I tell you it ain't none but me? You did not believe me? You trying to tempt me? Is that what we constantly doing? We constantly tempting the Almighty, aren't we? Constantly. That's like poking the bear. You keep poking the bear and he got them claws, he gonna devour you, he gonna tear you up. Whether it be you or whether it be me. Is that something that we would do? How many people did you think would just really go over to a ferocious bear and just keep poking at the bear?
Lots of people. So they can take a picture of it and post it on Instagram.
And what they're gonna post on Instagram is the dead body or the shredded up body or something.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to prove a point.
And they don't value life.
Yeah.
There you go. And a lot of times we act like we don't know how to value our own life. We act like other people's lives, check out what I'm saying now. We act like other people's lives are more valuable than ours. My life is just that, my life. Because somebody else might have more monetary things. Or they might look a particular way. Why would I devalue my own life because somebody else seems to have something that I might not have, instead of me looking at it like, I got Yah, they ain't got Yah. So in actuality, I got more.
Hallelujah.
I got a whole bunch more. See, we got to learn how to look at things. A lot of times we want things just because other people have things, we feel like we should have it too. I've been guilty of that. I recently just wanted to move into a bigger house and have more land. Still really want to because I want my children to be able to stretch out, whatnot. But y'all might not already bless me with something. And it ain't bad. And, you know, I had to just really examine it. I got to consider it. I'm up in age. Why I want to start out all over again with a whole bunch of more debt? But my house is about halfway paid for. A lot of times we just, what scripture say, the eyes are never full. Therefore, we ain't never satisfied. We always want more and more. But what are we willing to give? That's what we need to give. More act right, but willfully. Our desire should be to be right in the sight of the Almighty. Our desire should be to have the Almighty smiling on us.
Right.
What did he say with Abraham? That's my friend. Do we know how big of a compliment that would be? How we would have to be for the Almighty to say, I know this person. That's my friend. Say, Moses, that's my friend. Look, I'm going to speak to him face to face. I ain't coming to him in no vision or no dream. I'm coming to him face to face. What you need, Moses? Let me know. I'll be right there. Again, let me go to verse 4 again for that second commandment. You shall not make any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. You down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yah, your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and to the third and fourth generation of them hate me. Hate me. I first discovered this a long time ago, and I read that. I'm like, what? People hate the Almighty? I ain't never heard nobody really talking about they hate the Christ of the New Testament. And he ain't the creator of nothing. But they talking about, oh, just love me some JC. Just love.
Right.
Yeah. Because with him, you ain't got to worry about what goes into the body. It's what comes out. So they say. And showing mercy to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandment. Now, isn't it sort of strange or sort of odd that it didn't say, and showing mercy to millions of them, or showing mercy to billions of them? But this said to thousands. Anything over 1,000 is what? Yeah, into thousands. Anything over 1,000, you enter the thousands. And if you take it one of a family and two of a city, and if when the world was destroyed before with that flood, there's about a handful of 8 people, then why is it you got people running around talking about, I can't wait till the day of Yah come, he gonna get them. We act like he ain't gonna get us. Like we ain't talking about self. Go ahead.
I was getting ready to say, because they're not really taking into accountability and evaluation that day of reckoning when it really comes, and how many people say, oh, well, I know that, or I'm going to, you don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because if he wouldn't even let Moshe cross over, and he spoke to him face to face, what makes you think, even an inkling, that when that day of wrath comes, that you're going to be on the grace? You understand what I'm saying? On the grace. He said, ain't nowhere you can hide, not even under a rock. Did you? So, no. And like you said, people are always talking and walk, but just when you just sat here and you just read when he said that he's going to visit for my iniquities, the third and the fourth generation. So that means my great-grandchildren, for the things that I've done. And they might be walking straight and narrow, but it's what I do.
Self-accountability. There's one thing that we lack. We make too many excuses. We don't never run out of excuses. We got an excuse for everything. It does. I'm going to tell you, sister, my eyes literally glaze over often because I understand more. The longer I live, I start to understand more. And it's deep. You're right, it do hurt. But for somebody who just don't get it, it don't hurt. That's why they stay in that foolishness. Like I say, I'm not perfect, and if I ever do be perfect, let y'all call me perfect. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. This is deep. You love your children, I'm sure. I love my children. I got to be an example. I got to be an example. If we don't teach them, what we going to do? Let the streets teach them? What the streets going to teach them? Death and destruction? This is deep. That's the reason no longer should we keep putting the cart before the horse. We got to go about things the right way. See, if I get to it, I'm going to talk about how the scriptures talk about there's a generation this and there's a generation for that. And if I get to it, I want us to just think of what we're seeing out there now. And ain't nothing new up under the sun. Ain't nothing new. It might just be done a different way in some cases, but ain't nothing new. And showing mercy to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of Yah your Elohim in vain, for Yah will not hold them guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Yes, ma'am.
So, we're wearing the iniquity of our ancestors.
A lot of the things that we do, just like the script, like I just read. There ain't nothing new up under the sun. Those things that have been, those things happening now. And the Almighty requires that which is already passed. It's like, you ever seen the little gerbil on what you call it, on the little wheel? Constantly moving, but ain't really going nowhere and still doing the same thing. We the same people, baby. I can't put it no plainer that we are our ancestors, it seems like.
Yeah.
For the most part, we are our ancestors.
And I only said that to say to bring.
Make that picture,
to make
yeah,
it more clear.
A little bit better, though. But we have to
The
ask
things
ourselves.
our ancestors done, we're being punished for that, and we in turn are internalizing and showing the world that same identity to our children, and their children to their children. Never once stopping to say, "No way, Yahweh. I'm sorry for all the wickedness that I've done. I'm sorry for the wickedness that my ancestors have done, and I'm sorry for the wickedness that I'm showing to the next generation."
But you know what? That's good. But the thing is, even if we say that, that means we don't go back and do the same things over and over again. When I was just talking about us being hoarders, but we're hoarders of sin. We're hoarders of sin. And when I go to thinking about our children and the effects that the parents have on the children, ooh, that'll make you get emotional. Especially when we understand the pain instead of the peace. See, we're people that we want peace, but we're just leaving a trail of pain, and that just keeps being repeated. Just keeps being repeated. It's deep. So hopefully I'll get to talk about even in the book of Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter. Well, we're supposed to teach our children, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Hold up. Let me finish this here. Again, the 3rd commandment, which is in the confines of the 7th verse, I want to explain this to us. It reads, you, because see, when it says thou, I want us to individualize it to ourselves. Because we always trying to point it out to somebody else, But we need to point it out to self first because we're supposed to be the teachers. We're supposed to be the example. So we can't just tell somebody, but don't have it applied to ourselves. You shall not, or I shall not take the name of Yah, my Elohim, in vain. For Yah will not hold me guiltless to take his name in vain. In other words, I need to watch what I say and watch how I act because I represent my father. Somebody look horribly acting children at school. I tell them, I say, you make it look like whoever raised you didn't do their job. I didn't say they didn't do their job. I say our actions or their actions would make it look like whoever raised them didn't do their job. Because they're terrible and we tend to be influenced by others. In today's youth, their peers appear to have more influence over them than the parents. I've talked to enough parents to say, and it's unfortunate, because I call parents about their youth. I work in the school system. And parents will tell me that since their child has been at that school, they've noticed changes in their children. I just had a conversation with a parent of a little girl not too long ago, this past week. Matter of fact, it was either yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. And I wish we had Israelite schools in our communities that were ran by good Israelite parents that know the Almighty. I don't personally want my children inside of a school building. They've only been up there to come with their mother to bring me something or something. But I took my daughter there just to hang out with me for a day. She didn't like wisdom. She didn't like, I already told her what to expect. And then somebody from administration said something to her. Somebody else from the office said something to her. People telling her to buckle up and other people asking her what she thought about it. And she ain't want no parts of that. No parts. And as a parent, not to knock anybody who send their child to, if we can avoid doing that, I would say avoid doing that. But I don't want to make somebody think, well, you're just a horrible person because you send your child. No, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to act like I'm better than anybody. But mine, because I've been in the school system for so long, nah. Because I've seen children that come to that school that I thought were pretty good students in the beginning. But after about a couple of weeks, oh my gosh, they didn't got clicked up and ooh-wee. It is what it is, though. But we don't want to take the name of the Almighty in vain because he said he won't hold us guiltless. In other words, that means we will not go unpunished for misrepresenting our Father. And that's deep because our actions and our speech says a lot about who we're supposed to be. And our actions and our speech go against who we're supposed to be. Remember, the Almighty said, you're the apple of my eye. Now, if you got somebody that your focus is on them, you adore them, everything is about them, and then you just see them out just misrepresenting you continually, that's not a good thing at all. That would crush somebody. It will crush us. It will crush us. Because I know everybody want to think good about theirs. But if you just catch yours just doing something, if I just caught mine doing something that's atrocious, that makes me look like, what the heck have I been doing that I didn't know my child act like that? But in our communities, that's what's going on. I have to say, we collectively have failed. And I'm not saying this is for every individual. I'm not suggesting that at all. But if I'm just a spoke in the wheel, I'm just one of them spokes in the wheel, I'm still a part of the wheel. If the wheel is bad, I'm still a part of the wheel. Again, that third commandment again. Don't take the name of Yah in vain, for Yah will not hold them guiltless that take his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day. This is a big one here. Remember the Sabbath day. To keep it holy. Don't just remember it. Oh, yeah, the day is the Sabbath day. Keep it holy. Don't trouble over that day. Don't do with that day like you do any other day. We're supposed to have a holy convocation, a holy gathering, a holy meeting. We're supposed to be separate. But then some people, for whatever reason, they might say, I'll pass. Let's just put it that way. That's between them and the Almighty. Just because somebody else is not doing a particular thing don't mean that I should follow suit. Because this person's relationship with the Almighty, if they have one, that's theirs. My relationship is mine as my children's, is theirs with the Almighty. My wife, she has their own relationships. The only thing I can do as a husband and father is try to guide them in the right way. That's it. If they leave my sight and they misrepresent, that's going to be on them, especially when they have the age of understanding. See, we can hoodwink one another, but we can't do it with y'all. We can't do it with y'all. We'd be a fool to try. People, you're right. People try every day. They try to manipulate this. I think they're being slicker than the other. We can be in the deepest darkness. Y'all can still see he know what's going on. There you go. That's when he was able to say, you know my servant Job? Hey, you tried him. Because he knew Job was going to hold fast his integrity. Even his wife said, why don't you just curse Elohim and die? He didn't call her a fool, but he said, you sound like one of them foolish women. Should I just accept and expect good and not the bad? See, we got to learn how to think. And if people are going to be sincere and honest with themselves, again, if we can't be honest with ourselves, ain't nobody else got nothing coming. And people don't understand that you have certain people, and I ain't talking about no wicked type stuff or anything like that. I honestly believe that learning Proverbs especially taught me a whole lot more about people. I don't really personally believe people are easy. Because people going to show you who they are. Even when they don't realize, they showing you exactly who you are. I personally believe that. So that allows, once you learn that, you learn how to deal with people. And my circle is small. My circle is small. My circle is so small, you can't hardly see the hole in it. And I'm good with that. That don't mean I don't like people or this, that, and the other. That means I'm just real peculiar. Because I need to make sure that I'm right. That's all. That's all. Again, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yah, your Elohim. In it, you shall not do any work. Any work. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor the stranger that's within your gates. For in 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. We should have standing room only. We should be looking for a bigger place, for more seating. Because I know we got a whole lot of people in the city of Cincinnati who recognize themselves as being Hebrew Israelites. And we got 4 congregations, even with all those, and it might be another, but even with all those different congregations, we should still all collectively be having bigger places. Or should I say needing bigger places? That falls on the people. Because I know in the course of the decades that I've been dealing with the house of Israel, I've seen enough people come, enough people go. Enough people that just walked away. But I can't base my walk on them. See, I look at it like this right here. Y'all know what a flour sifter is? You got one of those things, got a little hole there, you can but all the fine stuff just fall through. But stuff that's strong and bigger, it just stay in there. I look at it like that's what the Almighty want right there. What's left in there. That's just my analogy. So, like I say, it's not about me trying to even insinuate that I put myself over somebody else. I just know what my walk is. And we have to be true. What's that saying? Be true to thyself.
To thine own self be true.
Just be true. Because the person, again, if I'm lying to myself, ain't nobody else got nothing coming. Nothing. You know that old expression, we got to get that nonsense out of our head. Fake it till you make it. Walk around just being fake. Yeah, walk around and while somebody else talking, I can't stand fake people, but you just be fake too. That's like me walking around with a fake Rolex on my arm or something like that, you know, and take the hood ornament off my daggone Toyota and put a Mercedes emblem on top or whatever. Say, yeah, this one of the first ones that came out. Ain't nobody seen this one yet. We got to be real with self. You know what I'm saying? We just really have to learn how to quit trying to be people pleasers more so than pleasing the Almighty. I get my blessings from the Almighty. See, and when we walk in right, well, I believe He'll continually bless us with that mercy. I really believe that. I can't take nothing for granted. When we lay down at night, and I can't say this enough because I can only hope that when the alarm go off, that I'm able to see my wife, to see my children. I understand that that's why when they go to bed, I say, Yah willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Tell my wife, Yah willing, I'll see you after the alarm go off. Because if I'm not there to be able to cut that alarm off, guess it won't be me cutting it off.
It's not guaranteed.
And so even more reason to try to be just a better individual. A reason to try to, for the Almighty, hopefully, prayerfully, to show more mercy. Because I personally believe that that's the only thing that got me here today. The only reason I'm still standing. I gave a testimony, and I'm going to get back to this right here, but the thing is about the Almighty. I gave a testimony earlier about spending out on the highway. Well, about over 40 years ago, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Okay? I had some intestines removed. I used to wear a colostomy bag. Intestines was hanging out the side, the whole 9 yards. They got a zipper from down here to up here, whatnot. I work with people and have worked with people who still have to be treated for their Crohn's disease. Now, the doctors told me all that time ago that they don't know the cause and that there was no cure for Crohn's disease. The Almighty blessed me in this over 40 years. The nurses at the hospital said they would see me back within a couple of years. Within a couple of years. I know somebody that I work with. I know somebody who's left that job or whatnot. It was a group of us with Crohn's disease. But I can say because of the Almighty, I haven't had to worry about that. I haven't had to worry about it. And that's a blessing. See, that made me want to even change my diet. I think then I was a vegetarian. Now I'm vegan or whatnot. But I don't do the things that I used to do. You know, I wasn't no real heavy drinker or nothing like that then, but I probably drank a little bit more than I do now. Right now, I don't even know if you really call me a drinker. Not really. You know, we'd have had a couple of coolers in the refrigerator that been there. I don't know how long.
Since February 17th.
You know, and then if I get something in a little bottle or something, I'm not a real drinker.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm a square. So I don't mind being a square. They said, "How are you, Mr. Israel?" I said, "Oh, I'm pretty fat for a square." But I feel good because I understand alcohol only inflames the intestinal walls anyway. If I've had issues with them, I don't necessarily want to cause some more issues. And I understand that anything in moderation can be okay. Honey is good, right? But too much honey will jack you up. We just have to keep things in the right perspective. Let me get back to these commandments because we got a lot of stuff to cover and we're going to get it done. Praise the Almighty God, if it be His will. Hallelujah. Let me start at verse 11 again, then I'm just going to run on through these commandments here. But it reads, "For in 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. The 7th day, wherefore Yah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." The 5th commandment, which is in the confines of the 12th verse, reads, "Honor your father and your mother, that your day may be long upon the land which Yah your Elohim giveth you." Now, in other words, check this out for those children, whether they be old children or young children. If your parents are still alive, that 5th commandment, the first 4 went to the Almighty. That 5th commandment was honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which Yah your Elohim giveth you. In other words, He never ever gave us a reason to dishonor our father or our mother. Even if your father, your mother wasn't in your life for a period of time or this, that, and the other, you can't be just, well, some people might choose to do it, say, when I see this so-and-so, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. All they doing is shortening the days. That's all they doing. I can't tell how much they're shortening, but if a person's going to live to be this old, they might just shrivel on down. That's the one commandment that I see that came with a promise. See? But a lot of times, people allow their emotions to get the best of them. And a lot of times, we don't know the whole story as children. We just don't know it. We don't know what the situation is. So the Almighty never gave us a reason to dishonor them in life or death. Period. Again, when I say my prayers, my father, who's alive, I don't really have a relationship with him. I wish I did. But don't live too far away from me. But he's always in my prayers. Always. My mother, she's right over there on her stool. That photo, she's deceased. But I keep my mother still in my prayers. And I'm not going to talk ill about my father. I'm not going to talk ill about my mother. You see, we have to understand. See, a curse is just the opposite of a blessing. And a lot of times people think, well, it's just that 4-letter word. No. We got to get this thing right. We got to get it right. Again, that 5th commandment, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which Yah your Elohim giveth. Next commandment, you shall not murder. Your books might read, you should not kill. Killing and murdering is 2 totally different things. Murder is the shedding of innocent blood. There have been times we went out to war and everybody said, kill everything. Everything. You understand? If somebody was to break into your home and you're defending your house, and you had to take a life, you didn't plan to wake up and go murder somebody. The person that came in to do you some harm or do your family some harm, to take what you have or whatever, they came in with bad intentions. They came in with bad intentions. So they weren't innocent. Murder is the shedding of innocent blood. Murder is abortion. Let me ask you a question. What abortion? See, a lot of times people don't consider things. Abortion is murder. See, here's the thing. If a person went out and bust somebody upside the head, took their life, the system would incarcerate them. You see? But they want to fix things to where they can put these abortion clinics in our communities. We lose more life to abortion more so than car accidents, cancers, and all these other things that you can possibly think of. Go check it out. Do some research. It's crazy. It's crazy. They use that as another form of what they might call birth control. Yes, ma'am.
Margaret A. Singer.
Margaret Sanger.
Sanger, she was a eugenist.
Hillary
That's what
Clinton's
she did.
friend. That was her mentor.
Came up with ways to
Mhm.
abort black babies
Mhm.
and decrease and control the population.
And Hillary Clinton called the black man super predators. And she looked up to Margaret Sanger. See, a lot of people, they don't research certain things. But even when Clinton was running, they couldn't wait to get out there and cast their vote.
Right.
You know, we ain't got no business running to no daggone vote line. No, vote for y'all. Vote for him every day. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Some coworkers of mine were discussing the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about how it's actually child cruelty to bring a child into this world that you can't take
It's
care
probably
of,
going to be overturned, too.
that you can't take care of, and that even if you have a baby and you put it for adoption, it's still terrible for them to go into foster care. And they relate all the ills that can happen to a child that you bring into this world. And so I said simply, well, don't have sex before you get married.
That would cut down on a lot, though, wouldn't it?
It would.
Just
It's very
that
simple.
one thing right
Just
there.
Don't have sex. And they responded to that like I said something so awful. Like I insulted them by saying, don't have sex before you get married. Seriously.
That's how we mess
It's
up.
really simple.
That's been an issue. And again, this is not trying to demonize anybody. I'm just stating the fact. That's been one of the issues in our communities that's destroying our children. Because instead of having a husband and a wife, a mother and a father, raising a child in one place, giving them a sturdy foundation, now you got what they like to call, I don't like the term, baby mama house and baby daddy house, but the rules are different than the rules over here. So who's affected the most by it? The child. We're taking their stability from them. See, I'm getting off track a little bit, but I gotta say this. I said the Almighty gotta take me where it goes. There you go. Y'all get mad if you want to, but I'm hoping that you don't. Just listen to what I'm saying. In most of our situations, most people, like I talked about that word love earlier, most of our young females and these fellas, they don't know nothing about what love is, especially if we come from a broken home to where all they saw was a bunch of fighting and bickering and this and that and the other. They hear this word, but they only know love from maybe the movies or something that they see this scenario in, or they see it in this particular scenario. They haven't lived it. If they haven't experienced it, they don't really know it. They use that word. It can be an infatuation or something, but they don't know what a real love is, because a lot of times in our communities, we don't get to experience what mom and dad been together for all these years together. They struggle, even if they got to go through a struggle or doing whatever they do, but they stay together. You see what I'm saying? They wasn't quick to run. So a lot of times right now, they just don't, I firmly believe they really don't know what real love is. The generations have been watered down. Because if a person never really experienced it, because in a lot of cases, you might have a young person, whether it be male or female, they might not be told that they're loved on a regular basis and given hugs and lifting them up and all those type of things so that they can feel love. You see what I'm saying? And in relationships, again, with married couples, with the way things are, a person might lose their job, but they're ready to get left. You see, or whatever. You can't provide no more. I got to move on. You see, it's about what a person can gain from a particular relationship. You see, So it ain't like when the brother gonna work for 7 years because he loved this woman. And then he get this one, but it ain't the right one, so he want to work some more because he want this woman. You see. See, we've been so watered down because of our environment. And we've become products of our environment. And it's not good because we're doing the same thing that those that came before us did. So I have to say, love is a word that people toss around, but in most cases, they don't really know love. They don't really know love. See, because when a person really understands it with you, if a person ever get real love, in most cases, they're going to be afraid. And they might ruin the whole thing themselves because it's not what they've been accustomed to. And I'm just going to tell it like it is. You see? And sometimes because a person might come from a broken home, they're determined that they're going to learn to love because they don't want that thing. They don't want to just keep going. You understand? So it makes a difference. It makes a difference. They did surveys and talked to women. When the guy's just too nice, he's treating them this way and that. Sometimes they self-sabotage themselves because it's not been what they're accustomed to. Somebody's going to sabotage something because they haven't been accustomed to it. Because that's not what they've seen. They haven't really experienced that before. But there are some people that's still in the earth that want to love and they want that love in return. But like I have to say, and I honestly believe it, that in most of our cases, we don't really know real love because we haven't experienced it. Now, I'm not saying for every individual. I'm saying I believe in a majority of cases in our communities. And I'm only concerned about our communities right now. Now, I hope nobody want to get upset about it. You do, hey. You do. I ain't trying to step on nobody's toes, but see, here's the thing. When there's a message, just consider what the message is. Just consider what the message. If it don't apply to you, then it's not. And let me say this. There might be a lot of things to be said. If those things don't apply to you, they don't apply to you. But that don't mean they don't apply to other people. Now, let me finish up here. I left off with thou shalt not murder. After that, you shall not commit adultery. And most people, believe it or not, in this land, don't know what adultery is. They think that if it's a man, now I'm not going to condone to somebody just being a whoremonger, but they think adultery is when a man is married, but he go out and just he lay with somebody else. No, that's him being a whoremonger. And adultery is when a man lie with another man's wife, and an adulteress is a woman who has a husband but lie with another man other than her husband. And y'all might say, don't do it. Don't do it. That's just like you get some people who become so westernized, they'll get a separation, but they're still married and acting like they're single. And a woman go out there, she's married, and my night, we ain't together no more. And then the foolish man will be with this woman, and now he done condemned his daggone self along with her. And we know, according to the Almighty, that's a serious penalty for adultery. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thou shalt not steal. Stay away from them 5-finger discounts. Don't be going down the road there and you see a bike laying on the edge of somebody's yard and you take it home and say you found it. So if parents recognize that, I'm coming right to you. If parents recognize that somebody found the bike and brought it home, tell their child to take it back where they found it before it create bigger problems. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Hallelujah.
We also brought up the fact that thou shalt not steal, since these were all capital punishment to commandments. It was supposed to be about kidnapping.
Well, see, you got stealing. There's a thing about kidnapping in there as well. Now, that's a death sentence right there. You see? You don't just kidnap and then when you steal a man or you steal a woman. See, now in this land, if a person get charged with kidnapping or something like that, they do some years in the penitentiary, you know, they get their butt about it. But yeah, that's a death sentence.
What else will come? So,
Yeah, go ahead.
just be humble. Said, just want to thank the Almighty for my life and for all the blessings and lessons in it, and for keeping me and protecting not only me but those who love and live to serve Him. Hallelujah.
Who said that?
Just be humble.
Just be hallelujah. Praise the Almighty. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's it.
That's it? All right. See, we got to learn to take life for granted and not to ignore our blessings. Because like I say, every day on this planet, above ground, every single day, we get renewed blessings every day. Every day. That's just like you cut the faucet on, cup up under there, and the cup just get full and the water just keep running over. Our cup really, really runs over. Because we get blessings that sometimes y'all know we don't deserve. I done got blessings, you know, in some of my rotten times when I didn't deserve those blessings, but the Almighty saw fit. Why? Because see, He know real love and He loved me. It makes a difference. So we got to really be careful when we throw that word around and got to really mean it, you know, because a lot of times people be together, you know that, and ain't no love there. People be together and ain't no real love there. And let me say this, in the case of marriages, and I talked about marriage before and I'm going to move on because I want to finish it, but like I said, I like to go where the Almighty lead me. You can have, like with this generation of hair, women, in some cases, tend to dress provocatively. Y'all know what I mean? Got a lot of this and a lot of that showing, and will have a husband. If you got a husband, then don't put yourself in that position where you out just dressing, trying to show some of everything, because you're out and say another man got something to say. You could be putting your husband in a situation where he get himself into a situation that might turn out bad for him or the other person or both parties. You see what I'm saying? Because you should be more modest in your apparel. But if a man is out with his woman and somebody got something to say based on the way that woman is dressed, and a lot of times, not to step on any toes, women dress because they want a certain attention. So now, if somebody says something out of order to another man's wife while they out there, then if that man loves his wife, knowing that he's not only a provider, but he's a protector, then he's going to want to probably do something or address that situation because that's his wife. And it could possibly turn out in a bad way. So wives got to be cautious about certain things. And it's not for me to tell another man how his wife should dress. It's up to that man, that husband, to share with his wife how she should dress. Now let me get back to this right here. And I only say that because, again, that could be, praise the Almighty, I haven't found myself in a situation like that where I'm out with my wife and somebody got something to say. But I'm the type of person, that's my wife. You see me walking with my wife, I ain't gonna have no problem if you look, long as you ain't staring or, you know, making her feel uncomfortable or something like that. But you better pay attention. Anybody shouldn't just put themselves in that position to where they're trying to interfere in somebody's relationship or disrespect another man's wife. Because it could turn out ugly. Ugly. Yes, ma'am.
And we also mentioned as a sidebar that I don't provocative.
Well, no. I'm not even trying to. See, I know why she said that, because I started out talking how, you know, some of these modern women, they just show too much. No, baby girl, I ain't even talking about you in that sense. I'm just saying in general, because that's an issue in our community. Because you have some people who don't regard the institution of marriage with another man and his wife. And I'm trying to share with women, those that do dress provocative like that, you could be putting your man's life at risk. You see, if you do, I'm gonna come right to you. You could be putting your man's life at, or let me say your husband at risk. You see what I'm saying? And the Almighty wants us to be dressed modestly anyway. We're not supposed to try to be like everybody else or those that are doing that. Now, again, I'm not trying to step on nobody's toe. I'm a messenger. I'm going to deliver a message. And hopefully that message is received. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I was just getting ready to say that now today, in today's society, men and women, but men are so used to seeing women letting everything hang out that at the point that you and the sister is out and about and she's dressed so modest that it's gonna capture their attention. You know what I'm saying? Because at the point that she's not like the average female that they're out here seeing with everything exposed and not leaving nothing to wonder. You know, so that, I mean, that's just what it is. My mom taught me a long time ago, why buy the cow when you can sample the milk?
There you go. There you go. People should be very wise with the people they choose to be connected with, because the institution of marriage is supposed to mean something, and it's an agreement, it's a covenant with the Almighty Yah being that third cord in that marriage. So people should know. Now, I don't know how I got there, but I got there. So we're going to keep moving on. Now, here we go. We covered, don't steal, don't bear false witness against your neighbor. In other words, if I get some second or third hand information about something, it's probably not already been twisted. I can't be a witness against somebody that I didn't see. And Yah requires how many witnesses? 2 or more. This country requires what? A single supposed eyewitness, and in most cases, that single eyewitness is wrong. People have been put to death because of a single supposed eyewitness. People's lives have been changed because of a single supposed eyewitness. That's not the way the Almighty works. So we got to keep things in its proper context. All right, 10th commandment, you should not covet your neighbor's house. Don't covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that's your neighbor's. That includes even if your neighbor has to understand that they're girlfriend, boyfriend. We don't see her on her finger. We ain't got no business. She ain't married. Oh, that's careful. Leave it alone. Don't even put yourself in that situation. Why would a person want to put themselves in a situation they ain't got no business being involved in anyway? You know, man, I say, well, she fine. I got to have it. Don't know nothing at all about that. Don't know nothing at all about it. They ain't even had a close enough look to see if it's really a woman. You know, so the times we in now, you know. Y'all ain't seen some of them things on YouTube where you can take this person that won't look very well, and next thing you know, he's a beautiful woman. The art of makeup and all those other things go along with it. People be going out on dates and then gonna try to say they didn't know that all that time that was man. I'm telling you, do some research. You take out a little thing up, like do some research.
Right, like you said, do some research.
There you go.
You know.
There you go. Because it's out there.
Right.
It's out there.
Yeah, for didn't know it was a woman, you gotta be circumspect.
Nowadays, by the time my children are old enough to be out there, you got to ask somebody. They got to fill out a daggone form. Were you born this way or were you born that way? What did they put on your original birth certificate if you have one or whatever? You got to give a person a test, a quiz, all kinds of things. Just to make, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be like a box of Cracker Jacks where you get a surprise on the inside. No. And this is real.
This is real life. Yeah.
You know, just because this man said something is okay. Well, the Almighty said it ain't. That's what we got to teach y'all. You know, and with everything that's going on right now, they're trying to get it in their mind that this is okay.
That's how you were born.
This is
How
okay.
you feel inside.
And then
how
let
you
people
feel
know.
outside.
Yeah, letting people know if you don't want to date somebody that's transgender, something wrong with you. They putting this mess up out there.
Something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Something wrong with me too.
Yeah, me too. It is not
Me too.
okay for me to see a bearded man in a dress and fingers.
Nah.
I will not accept it.
Oh,
You're gonna see it all the time right now.
well, that's one of the things that they teaching in the schools now.
Check out this hip hop music and the culture behind it and the things that come with it.
It's not the same when we was growing up.
It's a whole lot different. And if you want to be successful, there's some things you got to do. But we're gonna move on here. We're gonna move on. Again, this lesson, I just call it baby steps. Just we ain't gotta take again, you don't have to take no giant leaps or anything like that. Just have a focus as to where you're trying to get, and hopefully you're trying to get close to the yacht, and just stay on course. Just little baby steps, doing things that we know that we should be doing, staying away from those things that we know that we shouldn't be doing, and doing it because that's our desire. Because it gives us pleasure. It makes us feel good. That's when I suggested that we do things for a certain amount of time, about 90 days, and create some new habits. Habits are hard to break. That's the reason people might be doing something. Oh, it's just a habit. It's just a habit. You can have good habits. You can have bad habits. Now, in the book of Isaiah, let's go to the 38th chapter. Isaiah 38. Now let's look at the 19th verse. Isaiah 38:19 reads, the living, he shall praise thee as I do this day. The father to the children shall make known the truth. So the fathers should be talking to their children, let them know what the truth of the matter is. Who is the creator? Having certain conversations and things. Going over Yah's commandments. Doing now, of course, if there's no father there, y'all know, ladies, it's going to fall on you. But the fact of the matter is the children definitely need to be taught because they're raised in an environment where the Almighty is not even brought up and they don't know, then whose fault is it? It's the parents' fault. But the parents in some cases be too busy doing their own thing, and because they didn't know, if it's brought to their attention, in some cases they don't want to hear it. You know, some people think being a Hebrew Israelite's a cult, but they think church is all right. And that's the biggest cult going. That's the biggest cult going. You know, the only congregation you can really justify in the context of the so-called Old Testament in the scriptures, so the house of Israel. But we the cult. There you go.
Try to keep laws and make you a better person. And that's cultish.
A group of people that teach you to honor your father and your mother, considered to be a cult. Somebody who teach you not to steal and not to covet, not to murder, it's a cult. Imagine the mentality of those that are actually in a cult.
Yeah.
Again, the living, it's the living. Those that are going to praise you, Yah, as I do this day. The Father's going to make known to the children. He's going to make known what your truth is. Now, let's go to the book of Isaiah while we're there, the 40th chapter. You ain't got to turn the page. We're right there. I want to start reading because I want to establish something at the very first verse. And I'm just going to read down to the 8th verse. Comfort ye, my people said, Yah. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem and cry unto her. that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned. For she has received of Yah's hand double for all her sins. The voice of him that cried in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of Yah. Make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. In the 4th verse it reads, every valley, every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of Yah shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. For the mouth of Yah has spoken it. The voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all the goodliness thereof are as the flower of the field. Now, let me stop here for a second. All flesh, all people, they're going to be just like that grass. Now, the flowers, that's sort of like a representation of those goodly things that we see. Probably not so much of these days, but just think back when you used to just see a lot of good things. You know, when your neighbors looked out for you and all kinds, you know, just certain things that in the neighborhood, you're like, this is good. I like this area. This is all right. People looking out for you. Like we were talking about, it took a community to raise a child. So you see a child out of order here, you can correct that child. By the time that child get home, the parent already know they're going to get it again or this, that, and the other. Those goodly things. You know, like they talk about it takes a village to raise a child and all that. Not only that, but just good things. But let me go ahead on with this. Again, and the voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass. You know, that grass get high sometime. We got to mow it down, though. Get it back together. All right. In other words, that grass gonna fade. That grass gonna die. We gonna go. We're here for a time and a season. And those goodly things that we see, that flower represents, we don't see a whole lot of good things too much right about now, do we? I'm not saying there's no good things left, but we're not really seeing it in abundance. You see? And the flower of the field. All right, here we go. The voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all the goodliness thereof is as the flower. Goes on the 7th verse to read. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the spirit of Elohim bloweth upon it. Surely the people is grass. In other words, that grass, once it starts to get too big and get a little out of shape and whatnot, when it's starting to just be a little bit too much, when we get to be a little bit too much, we get cut down. You see. But then it also reads again in that 8th verse, the grass withereth, the flower fadeth. Those good things that we see, like when my mom could live in the area that she lived in and not even close her door at night. And I didn't have to worry about nobody coming in, let alone not close. They wouldn't even lock it. Matter of fact, we would get on. No, she wouldn't lock the door. And if she wanted to leave that door open, she left it open, and you ain't have to worry about nobody coming in. When your community was a community, you see. But you don't see all that now. Again, in the 8th verse, the grass withered, the flower faded, but the word of our Elohim shall stand for how long? Yeah. We leave it alone. It stands just the way it is. The Almighty said his word was pure. His word was the truth. So we ain't got to try to add something to it to try to fix it up to where it meets our needs. You see, that's just like the scripture saying, if you love the law, nothing shall offend you. That's nothing pertaining to the law should offend you. That don't mean, and since you love the law, I can sit here and talk about you like a dog and call you all out your name, this, that, and the other. You should be good with that because you love the law. That's not what they're saying. And a lot of people want to twist the word. Saying because of our behaviors and the way we carry ourselves, the life expectancy has been cut down. And hopefully I'll get into that too. 70 years, 70 years. That don't mean at 70 you're gonna kick the bucket, because sometimes people kick the bucket before 70. Some people live well beyond 70 or whatnot. But it used to be we lived a lot longer, but as the world went on and corruption just kept started getting out there, the life expectancy just got shorter and shorter and shorter. But we're going to get into some things. Let's go to the book of Isaiah while we're here, the 3rd chapter. Isaiah 3. Over here in 3rd chapter, starting from the 10th verse, it reads, "Say ye to the righteous, that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings." The righteous, they gonna eat their doings. But in the 11th verse, "But woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him." In the 12th verse, it reads, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Lead thee, cause thee to error, and destroy the way of thy paths." Now, as for my people, children rule over them, right? And women, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Do this sound familiar at this time? We got a lot of single parent households in our community, in most cases, not all, in most cases, who runs that house? Mom. And the children, in most cases, are just a little off the chain. I'm not saying in every single case, but for the most part, it's like that. Again, because we do things out of order, and the Almighty has an order. He has an order. But it goes to say in the very first, that 10th verse, "Say ye to the righteous, that it shall be well with them, for they shall eat the fruit of their doing." In other words, the same energy that we put out. If we putting out good energy, good vibes, being right, I personally believe we gonna get that same thing back in our reward 7-fold. But now on the flip side, if that energy is like negative, bad energy, just ain't right, we're gonna get that same energy back 7-fold. But here's the kicker to that. We don't know at what point in our life it's gonna come. We don't know at what point in our life it's gonna come. See, because a lot of times we don't get that punishment right away. You understand? But we're gonna get that same energy. So the righteous, oh, they're gonna have a good day, because it's gonna come to them. It's gonna come to them. And I know that number 7, which is my favorite number, is the number of completion. You see? I know that. They'll get that energy back 7-fold. So woe to those that don't want to be right. Because it might be what they decide. That's why you never put off something to tomorrow that you can get done today. They say, well, tomorrow I'm gonna start getting right. But then that energy start coming back. And it just started coming like a whirlwind and just destroying that individual and everything in its path. You see? The Almighty said, don't take his name in vain. That 3rd commandment. Because you won't go unpunished. Or I will not go unpunished to take his name in vain. Our Father, he don't play. He don't play at all. But a lot of times we keep tempting him because we think we done got away with something. And ain't got away with nothing. Ain't got away with nothing at all. Now, yes, sir. Go ahead.
From Daniel, Israel, let the word of Yah shine brighter in the light than the sun. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, big bro. Hallelujah. Is that you, Big Twin? If that Big Twin, just let him know. Type it in. Sound like my brother there. And while we're in the book of Isaiah, let's look at the 9th chapter, Isaiah 9. I just talked about those leaders, but let's talk about them again. In the 16th verse, Isaiah 9 and 16, it reads, for the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are, and a lot of our people are destroyed because they want to walk away from Yah. Walk away from Yah's word. They want to put their trust in man. And we're always told, no, you don't do that. Don't lean on man. If you want to lean on somebody, cling to somebody, cling to Yah. Hold on tight. Hold on with everything you got to Yah. Because Yah said, I want you to know, believe, and understand that I'm him. There ain't no other Savior. And then in our communities, when things start getting bad, who do they go to? The so-called preachers, other people. That they want to gather the people together and feed them a bunch of bull to get the people to conform to even more wickedness. We got our work cut out for us. Yes, we do. In the book of Amos, 3rd chapter.
What was the last verse you went to?
Before that, we were just in the book of Isaiah, the 9th chapter, the 16th verse. Now we're going to go to Amos, the 3rd chapter, the 6th verse. Amos 3 and 6. But it's just a warning, if you will. And again, we're just talking about some baby steps, things that we can all do. We can all be better, right? I think we can agree on that. We can all be better, regardless of how good we think we might be now. We can all be better. We can all do better. In the book again of Amos, 3rd chapter, 6th verse, it reads, shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city and Yah has not done it? And see, with all the ministers that's going on, the Hebrew Israelite ministers and all these classes around here and here at the house of Yehuda, we're blowing the trumpet all the time. We're trying to warn the people. We're trying to tell the people to prepare, to get right. And in preparation, the first thing you want to do is what? Get right with Yah. That don't mean just go get a bunch of food and this and that and the other and all these other things that you think you might need. Because if you don't have a relationship with the Almighty first and foremost, all those other things might not benefit you anything anyway, right? So first and foremost, in preparation, we got to get right with the Almighty. And that takes an effort. That takes a willing heart, that willing mind, should I say. It's got to be a desire. We can't just wait till the last minute and say, oh, I guess I better try to lean on Yah because all else didn't fail. No, we go to Yah first and foremost, period. Period. Now, also, while we're in the book of Amos, 3rd chapter, let's just look at the first 3 verses. It reads, hear this word that Yah has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up out of Egypt, saying, you only, that's exclusive, right? You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all of your iniquities. And then in that 3rd verse, a question is asked. Can two walk together except they be agreed? How can I walk with Yah unless I agree with it? I can't be walking against Yah and say we're walking together. No, I got to be in agreement because Yah know what's best for me, even more so than I know for myself. Can you walk with Yah? Is there anybody in this room that can walk with Yah and not be agreed with it? I would think that's impossible. I would think that's impossible. Say, well, I agree with Yah, but with this part right here, I'm not too sure. You know, I don't think Why would Yah do that? Well, why would Yah say that? If Yah's quiet, I'm quiet. I'm not trying to tempt Yah. Now, if somebody else want to try and tempt him, you know, you're right. You're right. It's just like when he said with the fringes, when we made the fringe should have a quart of blue in it. Somebody want to question, well, why I got to be a quart of blue? Because Yah said so. That's simple enough for me, and it's good enough for me. But why blue? Why not yellow? Why not this? I say I'm not gonna get into all that because that sounds like a fool. That sounds like a fool to me. And a fool, again, like anytime I use that word, I like to define. A fool is an unwise person or a silly person. But we want to have that wisdom when it comes to Yah, right? We don't want to be silly when it comes to Yah. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, 6th chapter. Look like we might get there. Young man, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to sit right over here. You're going to be that big boy right now, right? All right. That way I can see you. All right. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter. You get there? Let's start at the 4th verse. We'll read down to the 9th verse. This is very important. This is very important. Look, young man, this is very important for you too, all right? I want you to remember what I'm getting ready to read, okay? All right, check this out. It reads, "Hear, O Israel, Yah, our Elohim, is one Elohim." You know, they be talking about it as a Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Trinity means 3 separate but equal powers. How you gonna have 3 separate but equal powers? They take a vote, and then you say 2 of them say no, and 1 say yeah. 2 say yeah, and 1 say no. No, they're supposed to be separate but equal powers. Don't work that way. I don't even think that word Trinity is nowhere at all, even in the New Testament. All right, but let me keep reading here. "Hear, O Israel, Yah, our Elohim, Yah is one, and you shall, listen to me, y'all, and you shall love." Remember, we talked about sometimes we don't even know what real love is. "And you shall love Yah, your Elohim, with all your heart." Look here. Point to my mind, with all your heart and with all your soul. We know that soul is that body, with everything you are, and with all your might. Let's stop there for a second. That's some serious love, ain't it? With all your heart. This is where we process everything up here. Not this thing that's pumping blood throughout your chest. We make decisions with this right here. Love with all our heart. With all your soul. That's with all your being, your body. And with all your might. You ever tried to hold on to something so tight? Just so tight. That's the way we're supposed to be holding on to the Almighty. Now, let me ask y'all a question. Do you think that's the way that most of us hold on? That means it's a kink in our armor. And Yah is our armor. Yah is our shield. Yah is our protector. But we don't even know how to make sure that our armor is covering us. And that's by choice. That's by choice. It don't sound like a wise choice. But we say if I hold on to him so tight with everything, I ain't got no room for nobody else. Say it again.
That's how it's supposed to be.
If you're right with Yah, he'll make everything all right with you.
Yes.
We try to put, he told us clearly, even in the first commandment when we went to Exodus 20. Don't put nobody else in front of Yah. Sister, we taught our children. We taught them commandments. Nothing or nobody come before Yah. Not me, not your mother. When the children used to say, and they used to say to me, "You the best Abba in the world." Oh, no, that bothers me. No. Can I be second? Let me be second best. Let me be second best. See, when they tried to hell Christ up, talking about he was this, that, and the other, when 33 years old, get him out here. Don't put nothing or nobody before Yah. And hold on to him. Because I guarantee you, he going to have you better than me and your mother. He going to have you, not that we don't have you, but see, he got a better grip. He got more control. He can do things that mom and me can't do, you see, with no repercussions. He can have your back. Once he bless you, who can curse you? You see? See, we just got to keep things in the right perspective. And thou shalt love Yah with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. Keep them up here. Keep it right here. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when thou sittest in the house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And you shall bind them, check this out, and you shall bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. Now, in other words, and let me show you this is just Yah's perspective on this. Again, let me say, first and foremost, I ain't knocking nobody that want to wear what they call binders or piece up here, because like I say, I'm wearing a chain around my neck. 10 Commandments. I had a ring made that I call my wedding ring to the Father on my finger. It takes priority over all my other rings. Period. So it ain't got nothing to do with that. But when you bind something, and I'm taking this for what it's saying here. When you bind it, it didn't say bind it and then take it off, because when you bind something, if I put something in addition onto my house, I'll bind it on there. I can't say I'm going to sell my house, but I'm taking this part with me. You see, it's a permanent fixture. So in other words, make them laws, those commandments, those things that we're supposed to teach our children. We're supposed to already have them binded. What if we didn't have a book? What if I didn't have a book? I need to make sure it's become a part of me. Bind it to me. In other words, know it. And it's supposed to be my focus. Check this out. When a horse is running down a racetrack and they got these things on their face here, they get that horse just pretty much tunnel vision. They're knowing the direction that you're supposed to go. That's what I'm looking at when it's talking about making me as frontlets between my eyes. In other words, if I know what's there and if I know what's acceptable from to the Almighty, then I can't err unless it's on me. Unless it's either a secret fault, which is something that I didn't realize, or it's presumptive, which I knew what I was doing. So I'm going to maintain my focus. So here's the thing. Unless the Almighty took my spirit from it, then it's still going to be with me. Can't nobody take it. You see what I'm saying? So when I look at this, and if we teach them to our children diligently, like this is saying here, let me read it again. Starting at verse 7 again. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them, talking about these statutes, these judgments, these commandments. When thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And then you put your hands to keep the Almighty's laws at the forefront of your mind. Period. And they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes, and in addition to, and you shall write them upon the post of your house and on your gates. Now, is it impossible to put this on. I know sometimes we live in apartments and things like that, but where there's a will, there's a way. You can put those on, you can definitely write them laws on your doorposts. You see what I'm saying? You can definitely do that to remember. And then, matter of fact, when somebody come over to your house, especially if they can see it, they know who's on the inside. They know who's on the inside. So then we should represent accordingly. And it shouldn't be with no fake stuff, right? They know where they're going. And that's what they got the laws written on. Oh my goodness. Let me be on my best behavior when I walk in.
That's the point.
Let me watch my language when I walk in. But we're supposed to be like that already anyway, right? Mm-hmm. Deuteronomy, while we're there, let's look at the 16th verse in the 6th chapter. This is another warning. This is another warning. Deuteronomy 6:16. It reads, you or I shall not tempt Yah, our Elohim, as we tempted him in Massah. No, don't be, we got to be murmuring against this and talking about that and just being ungrateful. And y'all know we're ungrateful people. We're always complaining about something. A lot of times we mess things up ourselves, but then always complaining. And our eyes ain't never full. We just want. That's us as a people. But we better be mindful, don't look. Understand who the creator is. Understand what's acceptable, unacceptable in this sight. Understand that if we want to be led, if we want to be taught, that we have to be submissive. In other words, learn to be meek. Quit lifting ourselves up on high all the time. Humble ourselves. And being humble is one of the hardest things that I guess it is for Israel to do, to just being humble. Now, let's move on to Deuteronomy 7. Deuteronomy 7. Let's start at the 6th verse. This is deep, y'all. I think I'll go down to about the 10th verse here. 6 through 10. It reads, for thou art an holy people unto Yah, your Elohim. Yah has chosen you and me to be a special people unto himself above all the people that are upon the face of the earth. God didn't set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any other people. For you were the fewest of all people. We were the fewest of all people. But because Yah loved you, and because he would keep his oath, which he has sworn unto your fathers, as Yah brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king over Egypt. Now, therefore, or know therefore, that Yah, your Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful Elohim, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. And repayeth them that hate him to their face. To destroy them, he will not be slack to him that hated him. He will repay him to his face. Now, what y'all think about that? Do y'all think y'all lying about that? So why is it so hard for us to give it some act right? Willful act right. See, here's the thing. If somebody, say like if a child does something and it's not in their heart and they're of age and they know to apologize if they wrong something, they don't do it. And the parents say, you apologize. And then the child apologizes. Is this really sincere? It ain't sincere at all. And we ain't nothing but children. We just older children. You see what I'm saying? So we got to be right, period. We got to want to be right. So if you was in school and you took a test and you was pretty fast, done. turn it in. You're just gonna turn it in. You're gonna check yourself before you turn it in to make sure you got everything straight. Hopefully we check it. That way we ain't got to get it back with all them corrections on it. In other words, you'd rather correct yourself than have to be corrected, right? Ain't that the way we should want to be? When we know we're out of order, just recognize, oh, shoot, I'm out of order. And that should be an insult to us because we expect better of ourselves. But sometimes if we find ourselves being out of order, it's a good feeling when you can just correct yourself. When you don't have to be humbled by somebody else. Because our pride wouldn't let us correct ourselves. Like if we know we've offended somebody, and then maybe we didn't get a chance to straighten that out at that particular time. Just to approach that person and say, can I speak to you for a second? Hey, look here, I was definitely wrong. I was out of order when I did this or said that, and I don't have an excuse instead of making an excuse. You see what I'm saying? And say, please forgive me for that. That definitely won't happen again. You know, and I mean that. What's so hard about humbling oneself when we know we wrong versus saying, hey, it was what it was, hey? And not say anything, and then when somebody's attitude towards you just change, they deal with you differently or whatnot. And then you question, you say, are you still mad about that? Man, get over that. See, that's that mentality. If you love the law, then nothing shall offend you. And people just tell you we got the same blood running through our veins. We got the same blood. And if we're treacherous, then I'm not saying every single one. So when I say things, I'm speaking of it collectively. We still have the same blood running through our veins as our ancestors, because that's where we come from. So in order for us to do better, again, we have to want to do better. We have to want to be better. We have to be using foresight to know, man, if I really want to get someplace in life, if I really want the Almighty to help me shine, if I really want that continued mercy from the Almighty, I need to be right and want to be right.
Hallelujah.
And the Almighty bless you, who can curse you? Man, bless you, who can curse you? Nobody. And all these things, again, they just baby steps. That's like putting on our big boy drawers, our big girl drawers, you know what I'm saying? And we got to come into ourselves. We got to be an example. We got to show our youth how it's done if we want to get ahead. But in today's world, you want to get ahead, just step on somebody. Use them for that ladder to just keep moving up. So that's our mentality. Not a very good mentality, but that's our mentality.
We got a comment.
Yes, read it, please.
Y'all want entertainment says Shabbat Shalom, Mishpasha, Eloheinu, HaKai, Elohim. The way that they are wearing them are wrong. The ones that I've made, I had to ask for forgiveness because I wasn't here. I don't know what
I know you're talking about. Read the whole thing for me again so I can understand.
Shabbat Shalom, Mishpasha, Eloheinu, HaKai, Elohim. The way that they are wearing them are wrong. The ones that I've made, I've had to ask for forgiveness because I wasn't here.
Well, I'm definitely, and I hear that. And again, brother, I love you. I know you know me. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, because anybody who wants to do something to help glorify the Almighty, I'm all with that. I'm speaking on the way I read this and I see this. I understand exactly what you're saying. And to Yah be the glory. They put that with the Yah be the glory. Because and I say that because in everything that the Almighty told us to make or whatnot, even from the breastplate, the temple, the thing that was in the temple, just anything, the fringes, anything, he described it. But when it came to this particular passage right here, I noticed that was completely different. But yeah, you know, we got to chop it up like we done before. We definitely need to get together and chop it up. And I'm sure we will. Praise the Almighty.
They made another comment.
Yes, yes.
It said the crazy thing is the scripture doesn't tell us how to make them. I was guessing and added to y'all's word. Elder, I remember the conversation we had about the frontlets and Tefillin. I didn't listen.
Praise the Almighty. I think you're good, brother. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's see, where did I leave off here? Proverbs, 4th chapter. Proverbs 4. Seventh verse. And this is something we said a long time ago. And it reads, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And with all you're getting, get understanding. And a lot of times, through particular scriptures, we'll go through, read through chapters and books and say, I've read it and I've talked to people. But in some cases, not in all cases, in some cases, in enough cases, we don't necessarily get the understanding that we're supposed to get. And see, we want to make sure that sometimes we might have to ask the Almighty, if we are certain about certain, we might have to ask the Almighty to give us a clear understanding so that we know what's acceptable or what's not acceptable and where we might err. And I would like to believe that anybody who's sincere about their walk, that has a relationship with the Almighty, we're gonna continually grow because we're gonna turn to the Almighty. Because who knows better than He? We just have to be meek, and a lot of us, including myself, have to work on that. I know I do. My nature, for those who know me, you know, I'm trying to kind of humble down, but my nature is aggressive. I guess you know, that's been who I am from some of the things that I've done in my life by way of, I don't know, just training, exercising, doing what, just my nature has been, even in my speech sometimes. That's why I have to say, if somebody hear me, you're not hearing anger. If anything, it's passion. But wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, we should all get wisdom. But we need to make sure that what we're getting, we're understanding it. Okay? And then moving on to the Proverbs, the 4th chapter where we're at. Let's look at that 23rd verse. It reads, keep thy heart. Now notice, guys, when anytime I use that word heart that's written down here, I personally believe and understand that to be the mind. Now, I have to say that again. We might go just a little bit low. We might, you know, I was going to end at about 5:30 because it was only my wife and I, but you know, this lesson, y'all got to come. Y'all got to come first. So we'll be done most likely by 6 o'clock because there's a few more scriptures that I want to go through. And then if I don't get all of it, then, hey, I keep saying, if it be y'all's will, we'll continue that next week. But always give me something else. I guess we get out what we're supposed to get out. But in that 23rd verse, again, it reads, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Check this out, y'all. the decisions that we make here, those things can pertain to the issues of life, check this out, and or death. So we need to make sure that we're being right in the sight of the Almighty. That's why we're told not to lean to our own understanding. Because a lot of times we do that, it can lead us to our demise. It can lead us to a bad situation. Y'all heard people say, well, the way I see it, in a bold way, the way I see it, that don't mean nothing just because I see so. If I'm wrong, hey, I'm still not accountable. So we want to make sure that we're in line with the Almighty. So we got to make sure that we keep our mind right. Because out of it come those issues of life and our death. And again, I think we all want the Almighty's blessings more so than the curses. Because check this out, when you're under that umbrella, once the Almighty to bless you, you ain't got to worry about nobody else. You got the most divine protection going. I got insurance, but it ain't that good. You know what I'm saying? It ain't that good. Can't cover me like y'all. And I ain't got to pay that premium. My premium don't have to be in monetary a thing. It's just an act right. And willful desire, willful act right. Wanting to be me, wanting to be submitted to my creator, period. And it's a blessing when you see somebody that's really walking that way, so you know that they're like-minded people, you know? And I'm talking about those that are sincere in their walk, even though we may make errors, we straighten up and keep on moving forward. That's it. It ain't about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get up.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, 27th verse. You ain't got to turn the page. I have to say this right here, and I'm going to share with you why. It reads, withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it's in the power of your hand to do it. In other words, if it's in the power of your hand to show somebody your appreciation, do it. Do it. If you see somebody who come a long way in their walk, and maybe they've been an inspiration, maybe it's not to you, to somebody else, because they're walking in a righteous light. You see what I'm saying? Because you can appreciate them. You know, it may to the point to where your children go to play with them, or they hang out with them. Maybe they too old to walk around play. In other words, if it's somebody, and you can, and they deserve that. Hey, you know what? I see you and I appreciate you. You know, I see that you didn't have to come to me and say you've made some changes. I see you. I see you, and I appreciate you. I commend you. You know, when it's in the power of our hand to do that, why not do it? Because that can be even a bigger boost for somebody who they're not doing it for the recognition, but it makes them want to stay on that path that they've created for themselves to make those positive changes. You know what I mean? Y'all don't realize that's just like with our testimonies. It might be somebody who's went through something similar or whatever, and then they're inspired. They're inspired. And I can understand how testimony from where the Almighty has us and worked with us can inspire somebody else to lean on the Almighty. See? Because I have to say, like I said earlier, I solely believe that if it hadn't been for the Almighty's mercy, I wouldn't be alive this day. This day. And it's because I understand that and I see it. It's because that inspires me to want to be better. You know, I think that I would like to think anyway, in my case, I can't speak for other people, that it will inspire me throughout the rest of my life to try and just be a better version of myself. Because we've all had the opportunity to live a foolish life. And then, it's said that once we learn better, we should want to do better. And that's not the case for everybody. But if you know that it was always that foolishness that made you bump your head, that put you in bad situations, then I would like to think that a person, in my case, wouldn't want to keep bumping my daggone head. How many head bumps can you actually take before you just can't take no more? And those head bumps is pretty much butt whoopings. That's what I'm talking about. The way you'd been brought down low, had to be humble, had to go through some things, and then make you reflect and say, you know what, I did this to myself. Now, I think a person that want to just keep harming themselves, they got to have some kind of issue. So it's got to be something that ain't turning right or something for whatever reason. They have to have some kind of issue, and we want to get those issues worked out so that things will be a lot more smoother for. In my case, talking about me. I want to explain something else. I think it might take about 3 different verses to explain this part I'm getting ready to deal with now. Let's go to Psalms 90. Psalms 90. Again, y'all, just baby steps. Just baby steps. Just baby steps. Psalms 90, let's look at the 4th verse. It reads, for 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it's past, and as a watch in the night. If a day is 1,000 years. Check this out. Supposedly our captivity was 400 years. So if we was kicked out of the land for 400 years, let's just give it an analogy that I like to use. Say that's like the Almighty saying, go to your room and keep you in your room for less than a half a day. Less than a half a day. Say, think about what you did and how you gonna make it right, how you gonna fix it. But now, when that time comes now, when I pull you about your room, I'm still gonna whoop your butt. But I'm gonna bring you back into the fold and embrace you. So that punishment is literally less than a half a day, but we can't even accept our punishment. We refuse to accept that punishment because now we don't have physical shackles on our hands and legs unless we actually in the prison system or something. All we got to do is acknowledge that. See, I told you, I'm convinced we don't really thoroughly understand time. And then when I think of time, I say time is the one commodity that we just don't have enough of. When I read earlier in Isaiah, the 40th chapter, and I was talking about that time there. We don't have a lot of time. You ever thought back, you're a little bit older. Can you remember, like maybe when you was 14, 15 years old? If you think about it, you might be able to think about it just like it was just yesterday. Now think again, boop, now you're your age right now. Where'd all that time go? It moved fast, didn't it? Move fast. Move fast. I looked in the mirror yesterday, I didn't look like this. In other words, it seems like it takes a while before we get to where we at in life now. But when you look back on it, where'd all that time go? And every second that clock tick, we're getting closer to our end. From the time we came from the womb, we're getting closer to our end. It's just up to us to decide how we're going to live that time. Because there's a time and a season for everything up under the sun. So from the time our children come forth, we're supposed to make sure that we're teaching them so they spend their time wisely. And those very things should have been taught to us, but see, a lot of us, we didn't get it then. But the fact of the matter is that we did eventually get it. Now, once we get it, what we gonna do with it? For 1,000 years, and thy sight are but as yesterday when it's past. And there's a watch in the night. In other words, it goes like that. Now, while we're right there, let's look at the 10th verse. We're going to go from, while we're in Psalms 90, let's look at 10, say through 12. And it reads, the days of our years are 70 years and 10. That's a score is 20. So 70 and 10, that's 70 years. 70 years, the life expectancy. And generally, in a lot of cases, women outlive men. But the days of our years are 70 and 10, and if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow. For it is soon come and we fly away. In other words, we're going to come to our end, and even in our older years, we still going to have some sorrow. It might be some regrets. It might even be because of some family issues. We wish it was like this, or we wish our loved ones would get their ish together, so to speak, because a lot of people, unless they are in this walk, they're not going to think like you and me, sister. They're not going to think like us. They're going to think, they might not say it, they might say, well, that's for you, that ain't for me. They might say, that's your God, not my God. They might say something like, y'all got too many restrictions. No, we got life. The Almighty has order. And anything that man put their hand in it, like when they want to build their little churches and tell their little story, the man always make themselves the hero in all the little stories. You see what I'm saying? Look at the Almighty be the hero that he is. Let me read that again. The days of our years are 70 years and 10, and if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet their strength and labor and sorrow, and it is soon cut off and we fly away. Who knoweth the power of thine anger? Even according to thy fear, so is thy wrath. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts, those minds, to wisdom. In other words, let's learn what's best. Let's learn to do good. Let's learn to be better. Let's learn who Yah is and what he requires of us. Let's learn who we are. We're servants of the Almighty. Not only are we servants of the Almighty, we're the apple of his eye. The Almighty said, I'm married to you. And he said, just like a treacherous wife depart from her husband, that's what we doing to the Almighty. We're that treacherous wife. And then y'all just think, if the fellas was married, how would they feel if their wife was just treacherous? But now in this case, the men, the women, we the wife. Israel, we the wife. And we being treacherous. To one who said, I'm married to you. And you'd have been the apple of my eye. You've been my battle light, you've been everything. Look how you treat me. With no regard. Yes.
Because we can learn from that 4-letter word that a lot of us understand by applying it to how the Most High deal with us. Because all the things that we've done to him and against him, he still has loved us. And he has still shown us mercy at times where we shouldn't have had it at all.
Because we now committed especially some of us that's up in age, we now committed treacherous acts. Acts that were not good. Things that we should, even to this day, be ashamed of. To know that in the back of our mind, I did what? I didn't know, but now I know. And it was abominable. And it should just make us want to be better. Because we're trying to, what can we do to repay the Almighty for everything that he's done for us thus far? We couldn't do enough. We couldn't. Because just like the Psalmist David said, I'm sure that my transgressions are more than the hairs on my head. And if I have some hair, you see most of it's gray. My face here, what you can't see, most of it's gray. So when I say we've been hoarding sin, just think about it. We've got a lot of habits, a lot of different habits. Things that we found pleasure in and still find pleasure in today that we've been doing that is not acceptable to the Almighty. And we look like fools in his sight. And just like Psalms 5 talks about, ain't gonna be no fools in his sight. We've been a fool, and some of us are still being a fool. And again, that fool is just that unwise person or that silly person who just don't take things serious enough. And we're guilty. And we're guilty. Now, Psalms 94. Let me start reading at the bottom of that page on Psalm 94, verse 11. Start reading from 11, probably go down to about 19. It reads, Yah knoweth the thoughts of man, that they're vanity. Blessed is the man whom Yah chastens. In other words, when he don't get us, that's when we should worry. Because if he getting us, you correct those that you love. If you don't correct those that you love, you already know what the end gonna be. Again, in verse 12, blessed is the man whom thou chastenest, O Yah, and teachest him out of thy law, that thou mayest give him rest from the days of adversity until the pit be digged for the wicked. For Yah will not cast off his people, neither will it forsake his inheritance. But judgment shall return unto the righteous, unto the righteousness, and all of the upright in heart shall follow it. Here's a question in verse 16. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. When I said my foot slipping, thy mercy, O Yah, held me up. In the multitude of my thoughts, within me thy comforts delight my soul. Within the multitude of my thoughts, within me thy comforts delight my soul. Who can comfort you better than Yah? Man, I'm gonna tell you. I had to start getting older. I can't say just recently or anything like that, but I had to start getting older, or should I say, as I started to mature, that's when I started to get wiser. A lot of times we know better when we're younger, and when we know better, we know we should do better. But we don't always do that because we don't understand the way we'll probably understand later on. Because when you go through some things, when you go through enough things, and it makes you consider, and then if a person is really honest with themselves, the only conclusion that they can come to for the most part is to point the finger at self. Instead of trying to put the blame on somebody else. Just put the blame where it belongs. Even if we didn't know no better. Even if we didn't know no better, I still did it. I still put myself in that situation. Even if somebody persuaded us to do something that we shouldn't have did, that was still our decision to do it. I can't say that I was wrong, but so-and-so, they convinced me to do it. No. Self-accountability. That's the only way we're going to fix ourselves, period. Just self-accountability. Because we're going to want other people to be accountable for what they do, then why shouldn't we be accountable as well? You can't have it any kind of way. Let's go to Proverbs 3. Baby steps, y'all. That's all, it's baby steps. Check this out. This getting ready. I would like to think that those that are sincere are going to take this to heart. In the book of Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, the 33rd verse, there's just a little wisdom from Solomon. Because remember, I told you, I appreciate Proverbs because it's taught me a whole lot. It really has. And even though some people might say, well, Solomon messed up. Yeah, that don't mean that he didn't have the wisdom. He made his errors. He let them beautiful women bring him down. But he left us a blueprint to help us better keep the law. Now, again, in the book of Proverbs, 3rd chapter, the 33rd verse. It reads, the curse of Yah is in the house of the wicked, but he blesses the habitation of the just. Listen to what this says. The curse of Yah, baby girl. Check this out. If I can ask you this right here, because see, I know I make a lot of things clear, but when I read this, do you think it's clear? Because I want to break it down anyway. It reads, the curse of Yah is in the house of the wicked. That seems pretty plain, don't it? But he blessed the habitation of the just. Those that want to be right, you don't get blessed because you want to be, it's your desire to want to be right. But if we just want to be wicked, we don't realize we didn't curse our household. So here's what's so crucial about this. Even the child is known from the age of understanding. We can have a house now in that household. Hopefully, you got the husband, the wife, the children, or whatever. If the house is out of order, first of all, that's going to fall on the husband, right? So it could be something going on in that house that can curse that household. That's why it's so important for everybody to be on the same page. We can wonder what the heck is going on here, and it's something going on right up under our nose that we don't know, and it's bringing a curse to our house. That's the reason, unfortunately, I understand. when Noah built an ark, people think this man crazy. He out here in the desert building a boat. You know, that ground started cracking open, water started getting high. Now when people talking stuff, they want to get on the boat. But when you told, hey, close them doors and don't even open. Can you imagine? Sometimes we might have to shut somebody out and don't open because they can bring your household down. And that's a hurtful feeling, ain't it? When we have loved ones that we know ain't of the same mind state that you might be, and in dire times when you got to lock some things down because you can't really trust anybody to be in and out of your place or whatnot for the safety of your household, that you might have to have somebody on the outside. So I can see how that would, man, I can see how that would affect me. So I'm sure it would affect other people. But it's unfortunate to say if you had your storehouse built up and whatnot, a limited amount of food, this, that, and the other, it's chaotic out there. You get somebody that's, ain't quite right. Might even be a family member. They tell them, don't let nobody in my house. But you go. They got a good friend. They let their good friend in there. They see what you got. They know everybody else ain't got. They ain't got this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, because you let somebody in that you loved and cared about, they betrayed your trust. It might not have been trying to do it on purpose, but they betrayed your trust. And now you and your family without. Because somebody didn't have the same mind state that you had. In other words, you was looking out for them. They weren't looking out for you in the same regard. So sometimes we got to, well, not sometimes, all the time, we got to listen to y'all. And a lot of times, might be sad because they might have to make some adjustments. They might have to make some changes. You see what I'm saying? Because everybody that's with you ain't necessarily with you. Sometimes we got a hard pill to swallow. We don't want to bring no curses to our home. In the book of Jeremiah, the 17th chapter.
Michael Israel says, praise the mighty Yah, powerful lesson. Raphael Savage says, praise the mighty Yah. Shabbat shalom, family.
Hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Praise the mighty Yah. I just say Jeremiah 17. Let's look at 9 and 10. Again, just baby steps, y'all. That's all this is, just baby steps. All of us are capable, especially for those of us, even at the age of understanding. It ain't talking about just take giant leaps and bounds. We can just take baby steps to get to where we're trying to get to. And hopefully we're trying to get closer to Yah. Right? In the 9th verse, Jeremiah chapter 17, it starts to read, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Then it goes on 10th verse to read, I, Yah, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according, this is male or female, according to his ways and according to the fruit of their doing. Again, we put out that positive, we're going to get that positive. But that has to be who we are. You see what I'm saying? If you're a positive individual when it comes to walking with Yah, you're going to get that same energy back. However, if we're just the opposite of being that positive, we're that naysayer, that complainer, that one who's always tempting the Almighty, that one who's putting out that negative energy. Oh my goodness, it's coming back. Did you want to say something, sister? Well, I search the heart. I'll try the reins, even to give every man, this is male or female, to his ways. Y'all hear what I'm saying? So if we know our ways are not right, let's work on it while we got the breath of life. Don't say I'm gonna wait till tomorrow and I'm gonna make some changes. Don't say I'm gonna wait the next week or next month or as soon as I get this money, as some people say. Because tomorrow, the next second ain't promised. It ain't promised. And if we've made ourselves an enemy of Yah, then why would we wait to try to make that right? Well, we want Yah to be our enemy? That's deep. That's real deep. I'm gonna tell y'all, I can't say it enough. Now, sometimes we get that persona of being tough guys when we're younger and this, that, and the other. The wiser I get, the more my eyes glaze over. The more my eyes glaze over. I just gotta tell the truth, because there's a weight there. There's a weight, and that weight is heavy. And if anybody carried that weight, most of us didn't carry that weight, but a lot of times we don't realize we carrying that weight because we don't acknowledge our weight. But once we want to move forward and advance to being closer to the Almighty, you can't do nothing but acknowledge your past and your present to kind of determine what your future might look like. You see, so it's deep. As Moray Dan would say, that's deep. We keep doing it because we ain't got that butt whooping yet, which makes me want to go to Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter. Some of y'all might know where I'm going. You see why this is where I'm going. We're going to the 8th chapter, Ecclesiastes, 8th chapter. Which verse? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, verse 11.
You said Ecclesiastes.
Book of Ecclesiastes.
Going to 10.
The 8th chapter, the 11th verse. And it reads, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. In other words, man, I've been doing this for years. I ain't had no problem. You talking about I can't do this. Ain't nothing happened. I've been sleeping with married women and this, that, and the other, but I always leave before the others come home. I've been stealing, I've been doing whatever. I'm still here. See, people, they are about that because they really don't understand. Because they didn't get that swift kick in the butt right away. Sometimes we tend to think that we done got away with something. That old expression, how sometimes we get enough rope to hang ourselves. That's what we do. Because instead of correcting ourselves and turning from it, we find pleasure in those things that the Almighty called abominable. Imagine that. Now just think, how many of us want to, check this out, want to willfully find pleasure in something that the Almighty deemed to be abominable? That would be a sick-minded individual. If we knew that the Almighty despised something, but I'm still doing it because I find pleasure. And that's our situation in a lot of our cases, even to this very day. And the only way we're going to come to that conclusion is by self-examining and saying, oh my goodness, what am I doing? So we toss around that four-letter word again, that love. I say, do we really know what love is? We don't know how to love ourselves because we're doing things to destroy ourselves. Man, you ever been sitting? You might be by yourself. I'll make another confession here, testimony. There have been times where I just be by myself and I go to thinking, next thing you know, I'm wiping my face. Because the wiser you get, it's going to bring some sorrow. It takes somebody that ain't real human not to feel the way, you know? And that don't make me soft because I say that. That just makes me human. It makes me wiser. It says that I have a greater understanding, that I've been a fool for a long time. Because I'm talking about just reflecting on something that's past. Or even just watching a program and seeing somebody else's pain and seeing what they're going through. Learning that some of us have compassion. But some people might just say, hey, man, that's just life, get over it. Life is gonna be hard. We ain't gonna be hard all the time. Just a handful left. That's it, y'all. Proverbs 30. I said I was going to talk about the generations. I know I said 6 slides, but this might take us right to 6:30. I guess that was y'all's will. That was y'all's will. And I'm not going to debate that. Not at all. The book of Proverbs 30, start at verse 11. It reads, that may just sound familiar to anybody. There's a generation that curses their father and do not bless their mother. There's a generation that are pure in their own eyes, and yet is not washed from their filthiness. There's a generation, oh, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There's a generation whose teeth are swords, and their jaw teeth is knives to devour the poor from the earth, and the needy from among men. And I'm going to tell you what, when I see what's even just in our communities, you know, I know every generation has their thing and ain't nothing new up under the sun. But I guess I'm really seeing some things, and I'm seeing a lot of this right now. And I'm seeing a lot of it right now. From some that are young and from some that I think they too old to be acting like that. Because we're supposed to grow. I ask this question often. You may have heard me ask before. Well, matter of fact, I'm going to make it a statement at this point. There is a difference between growing up and growing older. And I would ask people that, and some don't know that there's a difference. And I'm going to use the same example. If you and me were about the same age, say we went to school together, from 3rd grade on up. 3rd grade, you know me, I was just a fool. I was just all over the place. Up until the point where I'm in maybe the 9th, 10th grade. Then my family moved away. I was still a fool then. You see me 20 years later when I come back. And I'm just a bigger fool, even worse than I was before I left. Did I grow up or did I just grow older? I suggest that I just grew older, because if I'm growing up, that means I'm evolving. I'm going through some changes. I'm getting to the point to where I'm maturing, sort of like if you grew a plant. Say it's a tomato plant. You see a little bitty bud down there and a little partial piece of leaf. It ain't ready yet, is it? because it's not mature, it's not seasoned, it's not ripened, it's not ready. So it's got to evolve, it's got to go through some things so it can grow into what it's supposed to be. We got to evolve, we got to go through some things so we can grow into who we're supposed to be. But a lot of times we don't allow ourselves that benefit, especially in this generation, don't allow ourselves this benefit. What we do is we take bits from here, bits from here, bits from here, bits from here, and then we call ourselves creating ourselves at a young age instead of growing into who we're supposed to be. We'd be bits and pieces of this song, bits and pieces of that person, bits and pieces of this. Call ourselves creating ourselves. We don't give ourselves a chance to grow into who we're supposed to be. And it turns out to be tragic, and it seems like now it's like everybody following the leader. But don't nobody know who the leader is, so I mean everything is just trending. People are doing just the same foolishness, saying the same things. It's like we've become dummied down and don't want to do better. And this generation, the way you take the good and you call it evil, but take the evil and call it good. And then when you see it in abundance, you have chest pains, it'll make you hurt, it'll make you sad, it'll make you want to talk more and more and more, but the more you talk, the more you get rejected because this is not their generation they want to hear. Because they've been failed. They didn't learn at an early age, and we all know chances of somebody changing, trying to be better once they've gotten to be so old, they've already determined who they're going to be. That's why I understand that we're supposed to teach a child in the way they should go when they're young, when they're very young, so we can cultivate it, so we can watch them, so we can ensure that they have that strong foundation. But if they don't come up with that foundation, a strong foundation, they ain't got nothing to stand on. They ain't got nothing to come back to if they depart. So they just come out away from a foundation. What can stand without a foundation? At best, it's going to be shaky. At best. A generation that curse their father and don't bless their mother. I think that's horrible. When they don't even honor their father or their mother. Think about that. The first 4 commandments went to the Almighty. That was that 5th commandment. I'll be at work and I'm listening to some of these children talking about their mother, the one that raised them, that don't have, ain't no father in the house. They talk about their mother and their father like a dog. To their friends or to their peers that they think that they're friends. And they be trading stories about how they treat their parents and stuff. I done heard this foolishness. We done got to the point to where a lot of younger parents then became watered down. They want to be their child's friend instead of being a parent. You can be a friendly parent, but I just don't agree with putting yourself on the same level as your child. The way that's my friend. If that's the case, then you put yourself on the same level. And the Almighty Commission, that's with raising a child, our children. In the book of Ecclesiastes, 3rd chapter, let's go back there again. I said there was a time and a season for everything under the sun, right? And a purpose. It reads, starting in the very first verse, to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. See, we need to understand that ain't nothing forever except the Creator and what He deemed to be forever. But we, as people, for a time in the season, what we gonna do in the time in the season? And understand this, y'all. There's gonna be people that come in and out of our life. They're gonna bring something in and or take something away. It's up to us to learn those lessons of all those encounters that we make. Because all of it's gonna be a teaching moment. All of it. Either gonna add value to your life or take something away that might need to be taken. But either way, if we pay attention, we can learn from it. That's the reason you should always make sure that your circle is right. And your circle is with like-minded people. Now, we didn't know those things when we was much younger, do you understand? But as we get older, we should be wiser. And we should be more protective of our environment. This is not a good thing to just have any and everybody, even in your house, because they can bring a certain energy into your home. But I don't think a lot of people even consider that. Those that are wise do. But there's a time and a season for every purpose. We were born with a purpose. And we have a time and we have a season. We just don't know exactly when our season is over. So we need to make the best of our season. And the best way to do it is with our Creator. I will wrap it up at 6:30. We'll be wrapping up at 6:30. Let's go back to the book of Proverbs, 16th chapter. So some of us need to hear this right here. Proverbs 16. It can be you, it can be me. Let's look at the 5th verse. I think we'll go from 5 to 7. Proverbs 16 starts to read. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to Yah. Though join hand in hand, he shall not be unpunished. Don't make no difference where I'm at, what I'm doing, where you at, what you're doing. If we put ourselves in a situation to where our pride get the best of us, and we don't want to put that in check, and then we become an abomination to the Almighty. Before destruction, that pride just rears its ugly head. And we could be in here holding hands, singing kumbaya or whatever. When the Almighty wants us, we can't escape, can we? When our time comes, our time comes. That's really during our time and during our season, we should be trying to make the very best of it. The very best. And want to have a good legacy. One of righteousness anyway. To the best of our ability. Again, when a man's ways please Yah, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. But let me go ahead and read this whole thing again, 6 and 7. Again, it reads, everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to Yah. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. By mercy and truth, iniquity is purged. And by the fear of Yah, men depart from evil. See, men ain't going to depart from evil, male or female. They're not going to depart from evil, not unless you have a real fear of the Almighty. And in that fear, our desire should be to please the Almighty. We're so busy trying to please our mates. We want to please our mates, don't we? Our earthly husbands and wives, we want to please them. Other boyfriends and girlfriends that we shouldn't have, we want to please them. So we should definitely want to please the Almighty. Again, 6th verse, by mercy and truth, iniquity is purged. And by the fear of Yah, men depart from evil. And it goes on to read, ways please the Almighty Yah. The Almighty will make even your enemy to be at peace with you. I mean, and your enemy might not even know why they just treating you differently now. But the Almighty gonna make it happen. Ain't that something? See somebody that was your oppressor, now they looking out for you. They ain't got no issue with you. Might even start being kinder to you. It's all because the Almighty found favor in you. That's deep. Also, 3 more verses, y'all. While we're in the 16th verse, chapter, should I say, in Proverbs, let's look at verse 25. It reads, there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. We can't just go by the way we feel. The Almighty Yah has a prescription. A lot of times we want to lean to our own understanding. We were told, don't do that. Don't do that. We act like we know better than the Almighty. We be quick, fast, and in a hurry to lean to our own understanding. But we mess around and lead us straight to the pit. Straight to the pit. Then if that happens, whose fault is it? Ours. Because we're going against the grain. Going against the grain. Now, who goes against the grain but a rebel? Rebel say, I know that's the way it's done, but this is the way I'm going to do it. That's when we rebelled enough. And I'm talking to those who know that we done messed up. And we owe the Almighty. And our desire should just to try to finish this latter part of the game in a good standing. We've been a fool while we was young, and then we started getting older, we're still a fool. At what point are we going to stop being a fool? And if we decide we just not going to stop being a fool, what does that say about you or me? Especially when we raise somebody that we want the best for. But they see us being a fool. What are we going to tell them? I just can't help myself? Then we just putting our children in a situation where they can say, well, Mom and Abba, they couldn't help themselves, so I can't help myself either. Mom and Abba, they was weak. I got their same blood. I'm just weak too. We should be sick and tired of being sick and tired. Because our negative behavior don't do nothing but make us sick and tired and wear us out. Sometimes we might not even realize the thing is not good for us. We just continue to do it because we didn't been in the habit of just doing it. Don't even consider it's tearing me down. It's just like I say, habits are hard to break. Knowing that don't that make you want to just try to create some new good habits? Just to start doing it, hopefully those good habits start knocking old habits out. Start taking them old habits places. Two verses. Proverbs 1. This is where we start to get smart, y'all, right here. 7th verse. Proverbs 1 and 7, it reads, the fear of Yah is the beginning of knowledge. But fools, meaning an unwise person or a silly person, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Are we going to continue to be fools? Y'all know we didn't been against wisdom and instruction for a long time. God say straight, we go left. He say straight, we go right. He say this, we say what? Why can't it be that? Why I got to be this? We're just so controversial. We got to get it together. We got to get it together. The Almighty allowed us to come this far, and hopefully He allow us to go even farther. But I would like to think that as we get better and better, the Almighty works with us even more. When we're intentionally trying to be better servants, trying to just be better people, trying to be better examples. Instead of just talking about when we learn better, then we should be better. Let's just be better and not have no excuse. We learn what's right. Say, you know what? I discovered the truth. I've been messing up. I'm going to correct it. And I'm going to put some things in place to make sure I stay on that path. Last verse. Psalms 25. Psalms 25. I don't know if y'all remember. I read Psalms 25. I think I read Psalms 25 when we opened up, didn't I? I got a particular verse I want to go to here. Psalms 25. And verse 12. It reads, what man, this is again male or female, what man is he that feareth Yah? Him shall he teach in the way that he shall choose. Person that fear Yah, that's the one that's going to be taught. It's one thing to say we fear Yah with that lip service, but again, actions speak louder than words, y'all. We show by our actions, by having that willful desire, by being meek, just wanting to submit to the Almighty with no problem whatsoever. Just saying, that's what you created me for, Yah. That's my purpose, and it's going to be your will, and I'm going to be cooperative. In a marriage, don't a husband look for cooperation from his wife? Yah wants cooperation. As a mortal man, I want cooperation from my wife, so I can't be a hypocrite. Yah said he's the husband. He said he's married to us. Why? I've been a fool for so. We've been a fool for so long. Well, let me say this. I'm glad that the Almighty allowed me the time to get this message out. And I'm glad for those that are here with us today and those that are with us by way of internet. I hope we found something to consider out of both of the classes that were taught today. We appreciate you. I'd love to see some of your faces here at the house of Yehuda, and if you can't make it, just keep tuning in with us by way of the internet. And comments, questions on anything that I spoke on thus far.
We are welcome from Eliyah, Israel, and Almighty Yah, be with you and for you. Hallelujah.
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 There's nothing more. We'll go ahead and rise so we can adjourn. And hopefully next week, if it be Yah's will, we'll see you all back here. If you're not here again, maybe we'll see you on the net. Hallelujah. Heavenly Father, Yah, our Elohim, our strength, our power. We give thanks and praises unto you in your holy name for all that you do for us, Heavenly Father, Yah. For all those tender mercies and loving kindness that you just sprinkled on us, that you've allowed us to have. Blessed be you in your holy name. Thank you, Yah, for guiding and protecting us on our going out and our coming in. We pray that you may continue to bless us and keep us. Yah, we pray that your countenance may shine upon us, lift us up, Yah, and give us peace. All praise be unto the Elohim of heaven and earth, the universe, the seas, and all that therein is. All praises be unto Yah. Hallelujah.
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 Praise the mighty
Praise
Yah.
the mighty Yah.
Yahweh is righteous and Yahweh is merciful. Let him in his holy name be magnified. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.